If you've ever had to get a copy of your birth certificate again, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. We made it through the big event of the week, and it wasn't terrible. Surprise, surprise. NVDA earnings have come and passed. It's trading higher here this morning. We're going to break it all down. We're going to look at the SPY. We're going to get you ready for Thursday. We're going to have T3 back because we missed them on Tuesday. Full slate for you here today for Thursday, May 29th. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It is great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. We're going to go ahead and get through the Thursday here. Let's go ahead and welcome everybody back. Mama Bear. Good morning, Ryan. It's almost Friday, going up to Arcadia Bluffs. Oh my God. I've actually never played Arcadia, but I've heard it's awesome. One of my buddies that I work with played the one time we went as a group and I couldn't make it because of some other obligation. Oh, you are going to have a great time. Good morning. Welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi. Good morning. Pete, good tariff-free Thursday morning. Pete, have you looked into moving to China at all? You're such a fan of China. I'm just wondering if you've considered moving there. Anyway, good to see you. Good to have you back. Crimp Biscuit, good morning. Great to see you again. Allsorts, good morning. Chuck, good morning. Tanya, good morning. Ivan, good morning. Paul, welcome back. I like the money flying sign. That's what's going to happen here today. That's for sure. Allsorts, one thing I don't know is I don't know. Deep thoughts with Allsorts here this morning, and I am here for it. Welcome back. Harris, good morning. Welcome back. Jonathan, good morning. Welcome back. Sideshow, good morning. Had a great day yesterday. Hopefully we'll keep it going today. Yak Shamash, yes. Tak, Yak Shamash. And also we will keep it going here today. We're going to keep it going here every day. And as Mama Bear said, we're building momentum because we're one day closer to Friday and the weekend, which also means golf. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, enough of that. Producer, good morning. Producer has arthritis today, but we're going to be nice to him. Good morning, producer. Brett, good morning. Great to have you back. Jonathan, good morning. New things in the chat, I see. What things? Did we release something and the producer didn't tell me? You'll have to expand on that. Anyway, Jonathan, welcome back. Good to see you. Hickam, good morning. Welcome back. Javon, good morning. Big Milkshake Trading. That is one of my favorite handles, honestly. I absolutely love it. Makes me want a milkshake in the morning, though. That's no good for me. Anyway, good morning. Welcome back. Big Bees, good morning. We will get the bag. Ray Gruel, good morning. Welcome back. Ashak, welcome back. Yasso Fine, good morning, Ryan and everyone. Good morning, Yasso Fine. Welcome back here today. JJ, welcome back. Day Trader locked in. Let's go. Shanlu Trading, good morning. We are going to make some money today. Quantum Vortex, good to see you again. As always, Captain Stone Crab. Good morning. Great to have you back. Ashok, CoreWeave, did we ever discuss this? Can we today, please? Yes, we did. And I am certain CoreWeave is going to get discussed today because it was moving with NVIDIA. Also, our T3 guest had a trade on CoreWeave. We're going to get an update about that as well. So, Ashok, absolutely, we are going to be taking a look at CoreWeave here today. Neville, good morning. This Moj, good morning. I'm addicted. That's good because this will not harm your health. Good morning, this Moj. Welcome back. Cam, good morning. Great to see you. White Chocolate Mocha, good morning. Laura, Ed, good morning. Terlingua, good morning. MD, Bernhard, Catherine, good morning. Diamond Hotline, good morning. ATL Russ, locked in. Drew, good morning. What's up with these crowns and numbers by my name? Producer, you're going to have to let me know what's going on. I don't see any of this stuff in the restream chat. It looks like everyone's excited, so we're just going to go with this being a positive. Diamond Hotline, good morning. I think I already said that. Eric, good morning. Jay, good morning. Sideshow, Border Collie, good morning. That sounds good. Tom, good morning. Jonathan, I already said, sorry. Whis, good morning. Ryan, good morning. Major, good morning. Morning, my name is Jeff. Good morning, Jeff, with an H. That's odd. Eric, MS. Diamond Hotline has a question for me. If you have a question, just ask it. We'll try to get to it. Okay. Let's go ahead and break down what we saw here in the SPY. Of course, we will talk about NVIDIA. We've got a whole bunch of news that's going on, and we're going to cover it all here for you. We're going to start with the chart as we always do. Here you go. The chat leaderboard is a little distracting, but it's cute. Interesting. I have no idea. New YouTube feature seems to be for chat participation. Spam the most leaderboard. Oh, we don't want that. Dude, YouTube, what are you doing? Why are you incorporating more spam into our show? That's not what we want. Producer, I'm sorry that you have arthritis today, but you might be busy trying to keep the chat all right here today. Okay. Diamond, your question was, do implied volatility has any effect on day trading or scalping? Sure, if you're going to trade those options, if the implied volatility is higher, the option premium is likely juiced. And if you have any type of news or event that causes that premium to crush at all, that's going to affect your trade. So yes, I would say the answer to that is yes. Kevin, do not spam like that. You will get timed out. That much I can assure you. You will absolutely get timed out if you do that. Okay, let's go ahead and break down the chart. We have a triangle here. It's formed from the down trend that from the all-time highs and the recent highs that we put in. And then we also have an uptrend from the Liberation Day lows through the other lows that we've made on the way back here. And this gives us this little area that we're in right now. And there's tons of important numbers around this area. Number one, we're actually still under that trend line. We are chopping above the 582.30 line, which is great. Remember, this is what I said I wanted here. I would really like us to stay up here, trade sideways, bring some of the overbought indicators down, and then maybe make a run at the new highs as opposed to doing it when the RSI is overbought and all of that. And that's exactly what we're getting here. We are pretty much butting up against this trend line here today. 593-ish really seems to be the area. We were at 598 earlier. We've since fallen. We'll cover all of the news that might be affecting that. As far as downside levels here, I'm hoping these don't come into play today, but you never know. I'd be looking at about 584. We could probably call that 585. And then, of course, the 582.30, 582.57, whichever level you have marked off. If we get down there, we definitely want to hold that. It is worth noting that the 200-day is creeping up beneath that level, which is also a really good sign. That's sitting at about 576. 67 right there. Okay, let's go ahead and break down some of the news. Here we go. We're going to start with the Trump news. Trump tariffs are struck down by a federal court. A federal court struck down global tariffs imposed by President Trump under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act on Wednesday. This ruling could significantly impact the trade strategies. The federal court has ruled against Trump's authority to impose extensive global tariffs under the IEEPA, according to a report by Axios. The decision delivered by the U.S. Court of International Trade could potentially halt the administration's trade war efforts. That's unfortunate. The court ruling, which emerged from two separate cases, nullifies the tariffs Trump had enforced using 1977 IEEPA law, a statute never previously applied in tariff situations. Business and states had challenged the tariffs, arguing they violated the Constitution's allocation of import duty authority to Congress. The three-judge panel, comprising appointees from Reagan, Obama, and the Trump administration, stated that the IEEPA does not grant the president unlimited tariff-imposing power. Consequently, the court vacated the challenged tariff order and permanently enjoined their operation. Lots of legalese in there. For you. The next step here, this is already going to be appealed, and I would imagine this gets thrown out by the Supreme Court. Axios noted that the court bypassed motions for an injunction, directly issuing a judgment that IEEPA did not authorize worldwide retaliatory trafficking orders. The White House has yet to comment on the ruling. Quote, the challenged tariff orders will be vacated and their operation permanently enjoined, end quote, wrote the court in this ruling, according to the report. That's a tough sentence to read. The decision could lead to confusion at U.S. ports and impact markets as businesses await the administration's next steps and potential higher court interventions. Trump administration did file an appeal against the ruling in minutes, according to the Reuters report. The ruling follows a series of aggressive trade measures by Trump, including the introduction of reciprocal tariff structure in early April of 2025. The president announced these tariffs as part of a broader strategy to redefine America's trade relationships, dubbing it our Declaration of Economic Independence. The economic impact of these tariffs was immediate and profound. The stock market experienced a significant downturn with a $5 trillion loss in market cap over just 2 days. It got that back very quickly, which the writer opted to not even mention. No surprise there. So that's what's really kind of affecting the market here today. You'll notice that in the pre-market here, we are bleeding all of those gains back. So we did pop a little bit. Any type of up move that we're going to hold here today, likely going to be on the back of the NVIDIA earnings. The market telling you what it thinks of all of this here. And the reality is that if we are able to stay elevated here, because I suspect that the Supreme Court will throw this out, it might actually give us an opportunity to reload some of those short instruments if we think the market is negatively going to be impacted by that. Now, let's talk about the other huge story here. That is going to be the NVIDIA earnings. And this is what everyone was waiting for yesterday. I told you yesterday, I gave you the key levels, and boy, am I glad we did, because that 141 level, and even in the after hours yesterday, 140 was extremely important. So here's your chart for NVIDIA. We're basically butting up to the 141 line. You can see we've really come out of the downward channel at the right time, frankly. We've made a really clean break of that. We also combined that with a move above the 200-day and some sideways trading, so some consolidation above all of these key levels. Long term, that absolutely looks good. Now we got the earnings report. Stock is up 5%. Now I am going to take some time here to shout out, sorry, got something odd there. I am going to take some time here to shout out Anne-Marie, because when we talked about NVIDIA and the print earlier this week, Anne-Marie was very clear and said, I think it's going to be the option sellers that work. Let me see if I can find the exact. Where are you? Where are you? There was a post in here. NVIDIA options imply a 6% move in the share price post earnings. Currently, we're sitting at 5%. Last night, right after the earnings print, we were about around 4.5. So it actually really felt like the option sellers were going to end up winning. Now, of course, today we're going to see where this all shakes out. NVIDIA is doing a really good job holding higher here and holding above that 141 level. The market here, I was telling you how the market was coming back in. The market not faring as well as NVIDIA, so we'll see if this can continue to outperform. SPY here bleeding back a lot of those aftermarket gains that we got last night. Let's go back to the NVIDIA chart here. The big question that I want to get from everyone else is, first of all, with this report and with this report out of the way, is it NVIDIA that you're looking to trade now? Is it other names like Micron, AMD, maybe even CoreWeave, maybe some other AI names? Let me know what this binary event being out of the way means. When we were discussing this yesterday in happy hour, there's still this feeling that NVIDIA, it's good. It's good that they were able to do this, but it almost seems, I think 13's, the comment that he used yesterday is that this is NVIDIA's AI race to lose. So it almost seems like this might not be the easy trade. There might be some other trades in there. And that's what I'd like to lean on from you folks. What stock are you going after now that this is kind of out of the way? I'd be curious to know. Neville saying Marvell, Izzy saying Broadcom, Avago. Let's see, what else? No other suggestions. Okay, that's a good start so far. Let's see what else we can trade from this. I tend to think that some of these other smaller names are going to be better. I wanted to very much believe that maybe trading AMD might be a good move here. I'm not sure if this is the time to do that. I'll keep you posted on that. Nonetheless, though, still interested in what all you folks are going to be looking for here now that the NVIDIA report is out of the way. Now, let's actually just give me one sec. Sorry about that. All right, now let's talk about some of the news there. Let's actually break down the report. I have all of those notes here. Here you go. NVIDIA reported first quarter financial results after the market closed on Wednesday. Here are some key highlights for you. NVIDIA reported first quarter revenue of $44.1 billion, which is up 69% year over year from 12%. And 12% from the fourth quarter. The revenue beat a street consensus of $43.2 billion. NVIDIA reported adjusted earnings of 81 cents per share in the first quarter, which may not compare to analyst estimates. Excluding the charges related to restrictions on chip sales to China, NVIDIA said adjusted earnings would have been 96 cents per share, which appears to be above the varying analyst expectations. Now, we discussed this in Happy Hour. This is important. Couple of things. Number one, NVIDIA saying this is already kind of speaks volumes, right? First of all, analysts absolutely should already know this. And we actually talked to a former analyst who literally did this job and said, if the analysts did not know this already, did not know how these numbers change, they're really not a good analyst to begin with. Some pretty strong words there. The fact that NVIDIA had to go out there and say this is like, look, hey, we actually did do a good job. And that actually might rub some savvy investors the wrong way. I thought that discussion was really interesting, and it came from folks that have more experience than me. So again, shout out to the Happy Hour group last night. Really interesting discussion on that. Excluding the changes related to the restrictions on chip sales, NVIDIA said adjusted earnings would have been 96 cents per share, which appears to have beaten the varying estimates. NVIDIA faced an export ban on H20 chips to China on April 9th. The company said it incurred a $4.5 billion charge in the first quarter related to H20 excess inventory and purchase obligations. H20 product sales were $4.6 billion in the first quarter prior to the new export licensing requirements. The company said without the $4.5 billion charge, they would have made 96 cents per share. And the thought here is that perhaps that is actually why NVIDIA did so well. Otherwise, it looked like kind of a mixed report, and the guide wasn't great. The guide did incorporate the estimate, but the estimate was actually at the higher end of the range as opposed to the midpoint or near the lower end of the range. NVIDIA is guiding second quarter revenue of $45 billion, plus or minus 2%. The guidance includes a loss of $8 billion in the H20 revenue due to export controls. The company is guiding for gross margins between 71.8% and 72% for the second quarter. Really good number there. Quote, our breakthrough Blackwell NVL72 AI supercomputer, a thinking machine designed for reasoning, is now in full-scale production across system makers and cloud service providers. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang with the comment there. Huang added that demand for NVIDIA's AI infrastructure is, quote, incredibly strong. And if you just opened up the actual press release that they issued for these earnings and you just read the blurb from Jensen at the top, you would have thought, wow, this is great. Everything's great. Record quarter, all of this stuff here. Really kind of had to dive into a little bit more. Oh, I'm sorry about this. Well, I'm screwed, folks. I am actually out of tissues in my office, so we're going to have to wait until I get a break for that. Okay, did I click on the wrong thing? No. Why did it lose my place? I was just looking at this. Okay, here we go. NVIDIA report performance by segment. NVIDIA reported record revenue for the company's gaming segment with news that the company will power the new Nintendo 2 Switch the Nintendo Switch 2 console shared in the quarter. Here's a look at the revenue performance by different operating segments. Data center year-over-year change. This was probably the big number here. It's the largest by revenue with $39.1 billion. Year-over-year change plus 73%. So just an eye-poppingly good number there. Quarter-over-quarter change plus 10% with a think we would have liked to seen that a little bit higher there. Gaming and AI PC, $3.8 billion revenue segment here. That was plus 42% year over year. Remember, one of the things that we were trying to highlight here on this show was how the launch of their new chips really poor, especially by NVIDIA standards. Unfortunate. Quarter over quarter change plus 48%. So it does look like they actually kind of picked that up there. NVIDIA is guiding for a second quarter revenue of $45 billion plus or minus 2%. The guidance includes the loss of the $8 billion H20 revenue due to the export controls. The AI inference token generation has surged tenfold in just 1 year as AI segments become mainstream. The demand for AI computing will accelerate. Countries around the world are recognizing AI as essential infrastructure, just like electricity and the internet. And NVIDIA stands at the center of this profound transformation. Couple more things here that I wanted to go over. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Holy smokes, spring weather messing with my allergies today. I really, really apologize. Let me try to catch my spot again here. And on Wednesday, NVIDIA revealed even with a projected $8 billion revenue loss to the U.S. export curbs on China, the chipmaker guidance and AI momentum remains stronger than expected. And Jensen, throughout the call, mentioned and kind of hinted at this. During its first quarter earnings call, NVIDIA executives disclosed that the new U.S. restrictions on its H20 AI chips bound for China will cost the company about $8 billion. Despite the setback, NVIDIA maintained bullish guidance, citing accelerating demand across multiple business lines. Colette Kress, NVIDIA's CFO, confirmed, quote, had the export controls not occurred, we would have had the other $8 billion. Again, they focused on this quite a bit. Some of the analysts that have been doing this for a long career said that that was entirely not necessary. Entirely not necessary. Still, the company expects $45 billion in second quarter revenue, well above Wall Street forecast, driven by surging demand for its next-gen Blackwell chips. Let's also talk about the Rubin chip, which is going to be the next one. We'll save that for when we get there. CEO Jensen Huang highlighted 4 key growth drivers: reasoning AI, rescinding the AI diffusion rule, enterprise AI adoption, and industrial AI linked to global factory expansion. He also praised President Trump, quote, President Trump wants America to win, end quote. Quote, he also realizes that we're not the only country in the race, and he wants the United States to win. This gets forgot about a lot. The folks in here that are clapping that the judges were struck this down. By the way, China commented on that, just in case any of you are curious. China applauds the U.S. court ruling striking down the Trump-era tariffs, calls to lift all tariffs and restrictions. So you might want to think about who's actually winning that, given what China was just saying there. But that's as an aside. We'll cover that a little bit later. Jensen here telling you that, hey, Trump definitely wants to win. He sees this as an issue and he wants them to win. It's amazing how those comments did not really make the news here this morning. Go figure. NVIDIA's posted first quarter revenue of $44.1 billion, marking a 69% increase year over year and a 12% rise from the previous quarter, surpassing the street's consensus estimate of $43.2 billion. Despite the new export license. Now, despite that, the new export license, the H20 product sales still totaled $4.6 billion. Meanwhile, earlier in the week, it was reported that Japan plans to import nearly $7 billion worth of U.S.-made semiconductors, a move that could provide a substantial boost to chip makers like NVIDIA and AMD. Again, my thought here is that with this out of the way, there are likely going to be other competitors here that are going to make better trades for us. I want to believe in AMD. I'm not sure the time is right for that, but the article's talking about that too. Let's see. And that was the price action. One more here on NVIDIA to go to. Oh, you know what I did? You know what I did? I did not click on the right one. I didn't share the right one. So I was reading the wrong story there. Sorry, man. Sorry about that. Okay, but for real though, the last story here on NVIDIA. Again, I know this is the biggest piece of news in the after hours yesterday. NVIDIA unveiled its robotics strategy during the first quarter of 2025 earnings call on Wednesday, positioning the chipmaker for what executives called the emerging, quote-unquote era of robotics. We've been talking a lot about robotics, automation, and how it applies to Tesla. One of the things that we discussed in Happy Hour is that although it's extremely unlikely that NVIDIA ever really builds a robot, it's far more likely that robots are actually powered by NVIDIA chips. Therein lies the connection. We expect that to expand here. It looks like we're actually getting a little bit about that now. The era of robotics is here. Billions of robots, hundreds of millions of autonomous vehicles, and hundreds of thousands of robotic factories and warehouses will be developed. That, again, comes from the CFO, Colette Kress, during the call there. The Santa Clara-based company reported first quarter. I've read that like 6 times. Come on, folks. NVIDIA introduced Isaac Groot, which is the robot there, described as the world's first open, fully customizable foundation model for humanoid robots, enabling generalized reasoning and skill development. The platform aims to train robots using synthetic data generated through NVIDIA's Omniverse simulation environment. Leading robot companies, including Agility Robotics, Boston Dynamics, and Figure AI, are already integrating NVIDIA's technologies. GE Healthcare Technologies is using NVIDIA's new Isaac platform for robotic imaging and surgery system developments. Jensen Huang emphasized the strategic importance of robotics during the call, noting that future manufacturing plants will require AI factories to operate robotic systems. So I guess my question to you folks is the next big thing for NVIDIA about robots? Is that what's going to take NVIDIA to the next level? You let me know if this is going to factor into any of your trading. What time is it here? We got time before we go to Adam. We're going to take a look at Tesla here real quick. And once again, give me a sec. I am so sorry I'm such a mess here this morning, folks. We'll try and pull that together here. Here's a look at the Tesla chart. This continues to move higher. 350 was really the key level that we had been talking about for the last several weeks. We've busted through that. Honestly, I wouldn't even be terribly shocked if we back tested this level a little. Maybe not today, though, as Tesla holding higher here, 2.36%. Do have some news here on Tesla. Tesla targets June 12th for its robo-taxi launch in Austin. Elon Musk says company ramped up full self-driving testing a month ahead of schedule. Remember, there's a lot of talk about Tesla being behind and all of that. We'll see. Tesla will launch robo-taxi service in Austin on June 12th, with CEO Elon Musk confirming that the company is currently testing the Model Y. The June 12th date has been internally discussed, but it remains subject to change, according to an anonymous source familiar with the matter, as cited in a Bloomberg report on Wednesday. The company recently tested a fully autonomous Tesla Model Y in Austin with no remote operations, with only a company engineer in the passenger seat. Musk has said that the company would initially use vehicles from its lineup like the Model Y to operate the autonomous ride-sharing service before incorporating the Cybercab, which is a purpose-built, fully autonomous driving vehicle with no steering wheel or pedals. Yeah, not going to be something on my wish list probably ever. That sounds really terrible, actually. The report comes in as Musk had previously stated the company's plans to launch the robotaxi in Austin sometimes towards the end of June, with over 10 Model Ys operating as robotaxis initially. Musk's tweet here: for the past several days, Tesla's been testing the Model Y with no one in the driver's seat. Let's go down here. Musk also said that the company has been testing self-driving models on public roads for the past several days. That was the tweet I just read you. The robotaxi launch could provide Musk's EV giant with a much-needed boost to the company as the company continues to grapple with sales declines globally, including Europe, where Tesla sales experienced a 49% year-over-year plunge. However, Tesla plans to launch its robotaxi in Austin. Faces stiff competition from Alphabet's Waymo. I know there's thought here that Waymo is still ahead. I think that's absolutely silly, but we'll go back and forth on that, I'm sure. Waymo is already an established player in the sector with over 250,000 weekly rides. We're not at the level where the robotaxi is really going to make a significant difference yet. It's going to need massive scale. And as I had mentioned before, one of our chat members here, Dugan, has mentioned before as well, Tesla's ability to scale far exceeds Waymo's. Gerber Kawasaki Ross Gerber suggested that the competition between Tesla and Waymo in Austin could be, quote, fascinating. We talked about that yesterday, as the two companies operate using different approaches to autonomous driving. This kind of reminds me of the AC-DC electric war, maybe the Betamax VHS format war. We'll see which one ends up winning out here for robotaxi. Tesla favors a camera-based system for its full self-driving tech, which is a crucial element to the robotaxi, while Waymo uses a LiDAR-based system. Musk has defended Tesla's decision to not use LiDAR for its robotaxis and full self-driving, saying that the company doesn't need LiDAR because people don't shoot lasers out of their eyes. What would the world be like if people did shoot lasers out of their eyes? If we just had a bunch of Cyclops X-Men running around, I feel like the world would be entirely different. Probably not for the better. Elsewhere, Waymo already operates in over 4 major cities in the U.S., including Austin. The company recently announced it reached 10 million paid autonomous rides milestone, doubling its lifetime total to 5 million rides in 5 months. So let me know, who is going to win this? And are you folks a fan of the robotaxis? I feel like I ask this all the time. I ask the same question over and over again. I have the same answer. I wish I had something a little bit better for you. Okay. And I know that some of you don't necessarily care for Cathie Wood, but we might as well talk about this too. On Wednesday, Cathie Wood's ARK Invest made notable trades involving Tesla and Tempest AI. This, you folks were asking about Tem fairly often here. These trades come amid significant developments for both companies, with Tesla insider sales raising eyebrows and Tempest AI facing scrutiny from short sellers. ARK Invest flagship fund ARKK executed a sale of 15,817 shares of Tesla on Wednesday. Tesla shares ended the day at 356. They're actually higher here today, 365 here in the pre-market. The ARK transaction aligns with the broader trend of insider sales at Tesla, reported on the same day. 2 board members of Tesla have reportedly sold nearly 200 million worth of shares ahead of the company's anticipated robotaxi launch in Texas. The insider sales, the latest being from Ira Ehrenpreis, I'm sure I butchered his name, I'm sorry about that, and Kimball Musk, his brother, could signal potential concerns, especially as Tesla grapples with challenges such as a 13% drop in deliveries and increasing inventory levels. The sale of Tesla shares by ARK Invest adds to the ongoing narrative surrounding the electric vehicle giant's current market position. Wood dumped 9.9 million worth of Tesla shares on Tuesday, even after Musk said he would be committed to spending 24/7 at work instead of with the government. And that is, the special government employee has a limited timetable that they can work there. That was going to end at the end of May. Elon has actually been talking about this for some time already. Looks like that happened. Now, the Tempest trade, ARK made a significant move by purchasing shares of Tempest across the ARK Genomic Revolution ETF, that's ARKG, and ARKK. The ARKG fund acquired 34,000 and change shares, while ARK acquired almost 217,000. Tempest AI shares ended Wednesday at 53.20. The total transaction was valued at 13.36 million. The acquisition comes at a time when Tempest AI is under scrutiny from Spruce Point Capital Management, a short seller that has raised concerns about the company's management and accounting practices. The short seller report, titled "The Tempest Surrounding Tempest AI," well done there, has contributed to a decline in Tempest's AI stock price. Despite these challenges, ARK Invest purchased indicates continued belief in Tempest AI. Now, let's get back to the chart. That's all the news that I had for you. Sorry about overloading you with that, but now let's actually take a look at the chart. And I did want to highlight something from our group here. So we talked a little bit about Tempest yesterday. We had the Spruce Point Capital short report really kind of bring this stock down. We took a look at it early when it was only down like 11%. It ended up closing down 19.2% here. Now, we've traded some of these short report stocks in the past from some of the different short outlets, and I know everyone's thinking the same thing here. So what do we do with TEM? Now, I'm going to shout out Jay Rice here from our group. I will often ask if you folks have familiarity with some of these short houses and how some of the trades work and all of that. One of the things that we had discussed for Spruce Point was that it will impact the stock, but a lot of the times it recovers. So we might actually have a bounce back trade here on our hands. We'll see how Tempest trades here today. I got to say, where I'm sitting today, my gut tells me I think that the low print is in for the short term. I have no position yet in TEM, but this is absolutely going to be one of the stocks that I'm going to look at here today. Okay. Let's see. What time is it here? It's 8:35. We do have our guest here. Is the guest ready? I can't see your camera, so I have no idea if you're ready. I'm not going to bring you on until I can do that. Can I get a thumbs up? All right. All right, folks. We couldn't do T3 on Tuesday, so we picked the other T day here. It's Thursday. We're going to go ahead and do that. Let's welcome our guest, Adam Mesh, to the show. And I have to click his name. Adam, I am struggling today. Thanks for joining us here. It's great to see you. I'm just going to go ahead and start before I forget. Get all of Adam's top option strategies in one simple training and learn how he finds trades looking to print money every week. QR code is at the top of the screen. Adam, happy Thursday. How are you?
Good, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing all right, but 2% better every day here. We've already bottomed, so it's only up from here. Look, I'm going to definitely ask you about tariffs. I'm definitely going to ask you about NVIDIA, but I would rather start here with CoreWeave because the last time that we had you on, I think you were telling us, was it a Condor that you had put on for CoreWeave? You had some option trade. You needed it to stay in a particular level. Can we talk about that? How did you handle that? Because CoreWeave has gone absolutely insane recently.
Oh yeah, that was a losing trade. I put on the Condor and CoreWeave, and I kept rolling up the bullish side because that's what the premium kept dissipating. So I ended up only losing like a couple thousand on it. My only regret is everyone was so against CoreWeave. I kept saying it's a contrarian play, which is why it was a somewhat bullish trade to begin with. Except for the fact that it ran through my bear side of the Condor, like by everything, and there was no salvaging that. So, but I've been long a lot of Core Z, which works with CoreWeave.
Okay.
Overall, it worked out, but what an incredible! I wonder if it's a short squeeze or it's going to stay up there. It's interesting though.
Yeah, so you're hitting exactly what we talk about here on a regular basis with CoreWeave. First of all, I appreciate you sharing how you actually handled that. It was good to hear you how you put that trade on the first time. Thank you for the update. The question that our group has here every day, or we talk about every day, is where's the short spot, right? Is this due for a regression back to the mean? Can we short this here? I actually think there were a couple of folks that were trying earlier this week. Didn't go well. We've kept trading up here. So what's the next move here? Do we kind of just wait and see if it wants to push higher, or do we try a regression back to the mean?
You know, it's funny, Ryan. It's like I have a black and blue, and I come on, and you're just naturally pushing it, like without on purpose. But like, so CoreWeave.
Sorry, man.
No. So literally, I could tell you like my last 3 days. You ever get when you're in trading and you're just off balance? On Thursday last week, I could go back to Thursday last week. I was in everything I was touching was going great. In my group, I put on a trade in PCT, Pure Cycle. We made over 100%. I'm like, anything I touch turns to gold. And I saw CoreWeave. It was around it had come from 115 down to 113, 112. I bought a 105 put, but just a little bit, just to watch it and see what happens. And it dropped points. So like the 2 contracts I had were worth $500. At that point, I was like, oh, this is the end of CoreWeave. And instead of getting out and taking my $500, I bought bigger size puts on CoreWeave. I came in Friday. If you remember Friday, the market was down big. CoreWeave opened, it was trading down 6 points at 9:30. At 9:30 in 10 seconds, it was up 2 points. And at that point, I was like, oh no. Like when you come in with puts on the one thing that's up when the market's getting killed, you're like, I'm done. I'm completely off balance. So that happened to me on Friday in CoreWeave. Monday, I came in. I tried again to put puts on it, lost again. And at that point, I was like, I am done. So you're asking me about the stock that literally put me in a bad mood for 3 days because I tried to like fight with it and I lost and I've given up. Honestly, it's too dangerous right now and it moves too fast for me that I can't. So
okay. So first of all, I'm definitely sorry for poking the bear or making the bruise worse. That's for sure. But what you just covered here should be extremely helpful for our group. Folks, even some of the best traders out there are going to end up getting a trade that doesn't work. How you handle that and move on is really what's going to define you. So CoreWeave, looks like we're going to be waiting this out. At least you were able to catch something there with Cores, CORZ, that works with CoreWeave. All right, can I ask you about NVIDIA, or is that also a bad one?
No, I had bull puts on NVIDIA that literally I sold a 70-30 spread when it was below 100. And so that worked out well. And I put it on months out. I actually closed it ahead of earnings for like 10 cents because it was over. But, you know, I mean, I was just listening to something. It's interesting. Like the only thing to watch out for in the video that's still uncertain and hasn't been factored into the price is that that new chip not being allowed in China. So apparently, like whatever the last administration approved for China, this administration is not. And it would be a $50 billion lost opportunity. So I know the stock's trading up, but I do think there's some clouds over it.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have been talking about, there's a lot of clouds over NVIDIA. You're right about the chip. They have talked about releasing maybe a less powerful chip. We had a discussion about that in Happy Hour yesterday, and that actually might hurt NVIDIA in the long run because China is likely going to go away from that chip at some point. We also had a whole bunch of other stories here about the graphics card division really not producing good products. There being undeniable quality and assurance issues from NVIDIA that might actually spread to the AI Blackwell chip as well. That's something that we're just going to kind of need to wait out. And then we also recently, we've heard about NVIDIA really trying to control the narrative by getting poor reviews removed for some of their products. None of this is really good. All of this kind of contributes to the dark clouds above it. And I just said before you got on here, I think despite this print, the better trade is actually going to be in other names, not necessarily NVIDIA. I am encouraged, I suppose you could say, to see it trading above 141 here. We had this 140 to 141 marked off as an extremely significant spot. We saw some resistance there in the after hours. We're popping above that. So I'll see where this goes here today. Congrats on the bullish option trade that you had on it. Are you planning another trade here on NVIDIA, either long or short?
No, I'm not going to trade NVIDIA post earnings. I'm not in the mood to deal with the ebbs and flows right now. You mentioned the tariffs and that court ruling. Did you see the court ruling today?
I sure did.
I hate that.
Yeah, me too.
We were winning in this high stakes poker game. Everybody was coming to the table. They were going to be happy to walk away with us having tariffs on and nothing changing on our side. We were going to get a lot of money. And the courts just went against him. I don't know why it's being treated as good news in the market. I'm battling with myself whether I want to trade for a reversal today because I so feel like this was like we should have just had his back. Like the courts going against us here is terrible in my opinion. And it's like why is our own country hurting him when he's winning these negotiations? It's terrible.
Yeah, it really is. Emotions they're a hell of a drug. That's really what this comes down to quote Rick James. There was also a piece of news here this morning. China applauds the U.S. court ruling striking down the Trump era tariffs, calls on the U.S. to lift all tariffs. What does that say if China's applauding it?
That it was anti-American.
Exactly. The other thing that we did hear, it's kind of flying under the radar here today, but it does appear that there's some good news coming out of the India negotiations. Looks like that's still on. Adam, my big thing here is, does this mean that we're at the end of the day going to walk away with less here? It's tough to see. It's definitely disappointing. This is what I will say. I suspect this is already, the administration has said that they're already going to appeal this, and I would imagine that this gets thrown out. Now, as far as the market goes here, I think the market might actually be showing its hand here. It popped overnight because it just doesn't like tariffs, but it's actually bleeding back here today. So we've had a fairly weak pre-market, all market here today. So let's just kind of stick on this. How are you going to approach this today? And if you're unsure, or if you kind of want to wait, that's a fine answer too. How are you going to look at the market action today, and how is that going to dictate what you're going to trade next?
So I'm already leaning bearish because of my reaction to the tariffs, but I get myself into trouble sometimes when I come in with a predetermined direction, because really the best traders want to, for what we do, if it's not fundamental trading, we want to take what the market gives us. I'm also going away tomorrow to Pebble Beach.
Oh man.
So I also want to make sure I don't leave the day with some big positions that I have to watch on the airplane tomorrow. So I am going to try to be light today. But I will say this. It is interesting. I'm looking at the comment section because you have such a big audience, which is awesome. And it really does seem like it's a mixed opinion. Like a lot of people in the comments seem to think that they're happy that they ruled against the tariffs. It's interesting. I wonder because
I was just going to say it's extremely interesting. The way I look at this is that I am blessed. I shouldn't even say I am. We are all blessed that we have varying opinions. To me, that's what makes a better trader here, and I think that's actually one of the positives of the show, not the negatives of the show. And it's also why we run polls so often, and why I beg people to please vote in those polls, because I love getting input from both sides on that. So I'm a huge proponent of it. I like it. I think it actually makes us all better.
It is interesting. So yeah, I mean, but I think let's just look at it from a trading perspective without even discussing the pro con of tariff. Listen, I understand it really can be argued both sides. I do think that us having tariffs on other countries is fair, since we've always been tariffed. That makes a lot of sense. Everyone agrees on that.
Sure.
But I'll also take the idea that we make so much on selling our technology that it offsets whatever tariffs they put on other stuff. So it's not a big deal. So I could take both sides. I understand that. What I think the bigger deal is, as a market trader, which has me reacting so negatively, and honestly, like, usually when you hear something, you expect the market to react a certain way. Doesn't it create more uncertainty, longer uncertainty, court battles, things going on? The longer we have uncertainty, the worse it is for the market. The more we have certainty, the better it is. So I think at a minimum, there's uncertainty when now we have our own courts ruling against it. And how long does that take to play out?
No question. No question about that. And I think the reaction that you're seeing here this morning is kind of indicative of that. Okay. Is there anything that you are kind of stalking right now, or looking to enter, or what are you going to do? I guess if you're leaving, maybe not a whole lot.
I have some positions on, my favorite stock, which is actually stalled a little bit, so I'm not adding to it at all. But Uber has kind of stalled here. I've been trading this WeRide. It actually moves around a lot. It's a lot of fun. I've been trading the MVST hit new highs, that Microvast, that battery stock I told you about on here. The Core Z has been good to me. SoundHound's actually been fun to trade. So
Now, Sound, this is interesting. SoundHound had an NVIDIA stake that has been completely dissolved. It appears that this company is standing on its own. I really wanted to see how this traded after the NVIDIA print, with it now being completely disconnected. And it actually, to me, it kind of looks like it traded in sympathy with NVIDIA. We are running up to a pretty important trend line here. So maybe we are going to be at a decision point here in SoundHound. I've got this at 1110 here in the pre-market. Trend line that we really need to get over here today is going to be 1150, 1140-ish. SoundHound might actually be an interesting trade here today.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to chase up here, right? It's hard to chase where we are, like from where we were like a month ago. It's harder and harder to pull the trigger the more up we go. I don't know.
Indeed it is. And actually, one of the things that I have been doing is I've been going after some individual names that have been really beaten down. One of the really good examples here is going to be the Trade Desk. I have been following the trend. I don't know if I've told you this. I told Scott this. I have been following this since Red Dog had been talking about Trade Desk. I feel like a couple of years ago. He was the one that put this on my radar. We've really been kind of waiting out this bottoming process. And now I do think we might actually challenge this gap. This from what, like 85 to 118. I'd love for us to get in there and see if there's a trade there. I've been kind of focusing on things like this, individual names, as opposed to staying away from some of the broader sector names. And Trade Desk has been good. Chewy's been good. Google was amazing. I still think there's going to be a move in some of these cybersecurity, but I'm not positioned for it yet. Judge, I bought Trade Desk at 60. Let's go. There you go.
Eric, you got Eric in the comment. I kind of agree with what Eric said, by the way. Eric, go. By the way, I interviewed Redler for like an hour and a half last week, and I'd go back like over 20 years with him. And so they put us on a call together, and there were like 3,000 people. In the first 30 minutes, we were just catching up, and they're like, guys, because like I hadn't spoken to him so long, but we had a lot of fun. But it's funny how like differently we trade. He's more patient than me. So while we were on there, he put on trades in like Amazon. He liked on the Bill Ackman Pershing Square News and RR, that robotics company. And literally like yesterday, he's texting me like, oh, Amazon RR working out. You still in them? I'm like, still in them. I haven't looked at them in 3 days. No, I was out of them right away. Our timelines were so different. And it's funny because I think we're both really good traders, but we like our approach is clearly different. Like he's stuck around for that. And I literally I had completely forgotten about it.
But that's important too, right? Because there's more than one correct way to do this. I think that's one of the things that actually makes trading so awesome. You don't have to trade the same thing or trade the same way in order to be successful. Really quickly here, any thought on Serve? I know you're talking about, I talked a little bit about robotics this morning. You brought up RR Rich Tech Robotics. Serve, another one of those that likes to move with some of these robotic stocks.
I haven't seen that one. Let me see. What's it, 13? I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. Is it worth watching?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. This has been in play a number of days just because it's had some PR in the morning and it's really kind of excited it. But the more I think about robotics, the more I think there's probably going to be a longer term play in here. As far as the stock goes, we recently tested the 200, consolidated right around it, and then broke above it. So part of me wonders if there's any more room up here. We are at a previous resistance level. I think maybe we'll probably get to another one here. 50. We got a gap on the chart from 15 to 19. Maybe we can test that here. I don't have it. I do follow it when we get some robotic news, but I figured I'd just ask since you mentioned Rich Tech.
No, I'll start watching it now. I like good ideas, so I appreciate that.
Yep, no problem. Anything else that you want to cover here before we get? And by the way, I have to ask, what are you doing in Pebble Beach? You going to play some golf? You going for a buddy's? 16
guys, Ryder Cup style, 4 rounds.
Can I bet on it? Can I bet on your team?
You should, yeah. I think my team's to do well. And I've been practicing every day, ready to go.
I can't even put into words how jealous I am that you get to do something like this. I got 100 on Adam's team for this little tournament that you got.
Thanks,
definitely have a good time there. I actually have a buddy going for his 40th birthday next year to Pebble Beach. I am trying to get on that trip so badly. You'll have to let me know.
Yeah, how that goes. One of my other friends invited me to go. He's like, I'm planning a trip to Pebble for my birthday. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, could I invite some friends too? Because I'm never going to plan that for myself. And it's like, yeah. So I was allowed to invite 6 of the
Oh
16
man, that's
guys on it.
awesome.
It's fun. But yeah, I will. Yeah, while that thing's up there, I will tell the people because we've had a bunch of people come on, and I only have one service. I used to have like 10 for 20 years. Now I just have that one Mesh Prime, and and I can make any trade in any time, which is fun. And usually it's almost all premium collection, so it's at its highs. It hasn't even been down even when the market was getting killed. But coming off that PCT trade up over 100%, we have some really good, exciting trades on in there if people want to check it out for sure.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Get all of Adam's top option strategies in one simple training and learn how he finds trades looking to print money each and every week. Adam, you and the rest of your T3 compadres do a great job. We really appreciate it here. Enjoy your vacation, and I look forward to catching up with you next time.
Thanks, Ryan, and I love your community. It's one of the most active trading communities. That's
I'm
awesome.
telling you, we got a good one out there. We got a good one out there, and they think for themselves. Actually, there was a mention, or I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was a mention earlier this week. An entire trade developed from the chat itself, had absolutely nothing to do with me. So
I love that. By the way, do you have wait, because it's a different day. Do you have that 13 coming on after or no?
Let's ask. Let's see if he's ready. 13, you good? You coming on today?
Hold on a second. I don't even have the screen on. Hey, how's it going?
See, I cold opened him, Adam. That's what happened.
I like to listen to the stocks you guys discuss. So I'll go dark and just listen. I like listening to this section.
All right, sounds good. Adam, thanks again, man. Really appreciate your time. Enjoy your vacation. We'll check in with you next time, okay?
Thank you. Be good.
All right, that is Adam Mesh from T3. How about that, by the way, folks? How about that? Noticing how awesome our chat is for being diverse from an opinion basis, I guess is the right word, and then complimenting you all for that. You all should pat yourself on the back. Every one of you should pat yourself on the back. Okay, 13. Really good stuff here with Adam this morning. Look, NVIDIA, the big thing, the big event, whatever, out of the way here. NVIDIA trading higher here today. Let's do those movers first, but then I think we should probably get back and talk about some of the big issues that are going on. What do you think?
Yeah, that's fine. And I was listening to discussion while I was going over these movers, and I completely agree with everything you were talking about the especially when it comes to the this international trade court ruling. This is really going to create a lot of uncertainty. It's not good. This is I don't want to get too much into it because you two covered it really, really well. I don't think there's more I could add, but I agree with everything you guys said.
Here's the way that I'm looking at this going forward here. I have my own opinions on it. Other people are going to have other opinions on it. There is nothing that I can do here today to change any of it. So I'm going to do the best I can to prepare for what the day is going to bring, and I will go from there. That's about all I can do. About all I can do. All right, let's start here with the movers list. First one here going to be ticker ALZN. This is Alzamend Neuro. Hopefully I got that right here. Alzamend Neuro shares are trading higher after the company dosed its first patient in its phase 2 clinical trial of AL001. Stock ripped here. This stock was about $3.50 yesterday. It tried to test 9 earlier today or earlier here in the pre-market. Couldn't quite get it, but we're holding the $8 level plus 140%. Quick look around the horn here. 20.44% of its float shorted. Actually looks like we had a float adjustment recently with that last short interest data print. So I almost wonder if there was a reverse or something in here. Let's check. Bingo, May 12th, 1 for 9, reverse split. That's going to affect all of these metrics. That's why we're seeing that change. So going back to it, 20.44% of the float shorted here with 1 day to cover. That comes on an average volume of 129,000. Today we've traded almost 29 million. I don't think we're going to have trouble covering that up. The float here is 710,000. Stock's up 140%. What do you make of this, 13?
Yeah, so this has been giving out these little pieces of information here and there, like they just dosed their first patient for their phase 2 trial for AL001. That's actually going through multiple phase 2 trials right now. Looks like this one is going to be for, I believe this is post Alzheimer's I'm not sure. I know I had it a second ago, but AL001 is being going through multiple clinical trials right now for Alzheimer's, bipolar, major depressive, post-traumatic. And they're all in phase 2 right now.
Yeah, and those are, so it says here, those are classified as the neurodegenerative diseases and psychiatric disorders. So it's that whole host of them. You're exactly right.
Yeah, and they're working on this first phase of phase 2 clinical trial for AL001 called Lithium and Brain Study, and that's happening, and that's what this is undertaking here. So the interesting thing is that when we got news of this, and this is actually an exclusive on Benzinga, we got news of this trial getting underway. The stock that day dropped, and when they announced it, they initiated this phase 2 trial. So now here we are. They also mentioned on May 19th that the first patient was enrolled in this trial. Stock did nothing. Now that we're dosing him, apparently that's the thing that's going to make this thing take off. So after all the talk, initiating this trial, getting enrolling for this trial, and then nothing is going to move it like apparently it is today unless we start dosing these people. So that's why this is moving right now. But we also had that high short interest, which I think is adding to it. This company does have cash, but not a whole lot. It looks like 1 to 2 quarters at the most based off our most recent read. But I did see that they had filed an offering back in March after their earnings report. So I didn't have a time to go through all of that. So I'm not sure how much of that was executed or what exactly that entails. I believe it has a lot to do with preferred shares.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they did raise capital from that event, we're not going to see that reflected in their balance sheet yet because they did it after their earnings, and their next earnings, I believe, is in July. So they appear to have the cash to go on with this. I just don't have an accurate read on it, and this thing is short squeezing at the same time. As far as levels go, let's take a look at that.
Jonathan here adding ALZN recent vote passed to raise $5 million by messing with shares and warrants in a recent 8K.
Perfect. Thank you. So
good stuff, Jonathan, as always.
He's always helping me out. Yes.
Yeah.
But this is, we've traded this one before. I have a bunch of levels from the last time we did this, and currently in the 7 handle right now. In the 7 handle, the levels that I have are going to be to the downside 730. To the upside, it's going to be 780, 785. If we can get through that 780, 85 area, then this thing could come back up to 9. It looks like. So that's what I'd be watching for. It looks like we almost got that tested 9 earlier today. Currently trading above VWAP, but it looks like it's starting to roll over as we approach the last half hour of the pre-market, or actually enter the last half hour of the pre-market. So for me, I'd like to wait and see what this ends up doing because it's had a nice big move ever since the news came out. It was about an hour ago, and like to see this. Like to see where this is at by the time that we get close to the open. If we're beneath VWAP, then we're going to probably want to wait and see what it does. But if it bounced off VWAP and it looks like it's trading up just upwards into the open, that might be a little bit of a stronger move we're going to get out of the gate.
Okay. I'd love for this to pull back and hold VWAP perfectly. I don't know if we'll get that, but that to me would be a fairly easy setup here. Ticker ALZN. We shall see. All right. Next here on the list is going to be STRM, and I don't think there's anything going on here. This is Streamline Health Solutions. Shares are trading higher after the company announced M.It will acquire the company for $5.34 a share in cash. It's $5.02. I think we can just move on.
Yeah. If you own that, congratulations. You did well.
Perfect. Next here is going to be Zeo. This is Zeo Energy, ticker ZEO. Zeo Energy shares are trading higher after the company announced it will acquire Heliogen in an all-stock deal valued at $10 million. So they are acquiring a different company. Stock is still trading here. This is interesting. Sometimes when we see some of these deals, we see the stock actually trade down. The opposite though, we popped here above 350. We're actually still holding higher here by about 83%. Let's do a quick look around the horn here on this one. 1.06% of the float shorted with 6.62 days to cover. That days to cover is coming on 393,000 shares of average volume. Folks, today we've traded 42 million. I don't think we're going to have trouble with that here today. That would just be my guess. 13, what do you have on this one? Did you look into what's going on here, or what do you think?
Yeah, so I did a little looking into this, and I also brought up the ticker for the company they're acquiring, so I could get an idea of what their balance sheet looks like. Just kind of with the time I had today looking at this, it seems like ZEO got a pretty good deal. Heliogen on March 27th reported their earnings. They had an EPS of 12.55 cents and $12.55, revenue of 18.38 million. The company, as of the last reported position on their balance sheet, they had 30 million in the bank, and this company's getting picked up for 10. Sounds like a good deal. Now, admittedly, they were in and out of this profitability. At some point, they were losing tens of millions of dollars, so that could be why. But this looks like it's a good acquisition. It might be a really good deal. Can't say for sure, but that's about all I've got here with CEO. It might be a pretty good deal, but as far as the stock looks right now, we are beneath VWAP in the pre-market. It is trying to turn around and come back up. But I feel like if we do end up getting this one move back up above VWAP and it doesn't hold, that could be the last move of the day, or at least the morning. It might come back in the afternoon, as some of these do. So that's what I'd be watching for with CEO. I do expect that we might go a little bit more sideways in the pre-market here, maybe even a little bit lower, but it's going to have to try and recapture that VWAP. And once it does, I think that's when we're going to want to pay attention to see if it can move up and away off VWAP, or if it gets rejected in that same candle or series of candles and starts to trade back lower again.
Okay, so we want to see if this can punch through VWAP or if that marks the actual top here. I was just going through the press release here, 13. They're outlining what's going on here. It says the transaction unites ZEO's existing residential solar and storage footprints with Heliogen's long-duration energy storage expertise. Heliogen's commercial and utility scale thermal storage solution adds mission critical power quality and energy capacity issues faced by AI and cloud computing data centers, while currently aiding grid stability. So it sounds like there's going to be a pretty good synergy here. Perhaps that's why the stock is trading up 81% here right now. I guess we'll see how this shakes out. I like your call there around the VWAP.
It looks a little bearish right now, but let's just see what happens as we approach the open and where it's at related to VWAP.
Okay. Good stuff there. Let's keep moving here. Next, I've got NAOV, Nano Vibronics. This is one that we've traded a bunch off the relative volume scanners. Should not be a new issue for us. Be careful with this one. Nano Vibronics shares are trading higher. The company announced that a series of posts made earlier today regarding a $26 million registered direct offering were falsely issued. So stock popped in the middle of the session yesterday, dropped, went red bigly, spent the after hours coming back, popped here in the pre-market. I tell you what, this thing has been all over the place. We're basically right where we were at when we opened yesterday with all of this. Quick look around the horn here, might as well while we're doing it. 43.27% of the float shorted. Yikes. 1 day to cover. That comes on 3.5 million shares of average volume. Today we've traded almost 24 million shares. 13, what do you make of this?
It's kind of funny because if we just basically say like this is about $1.10 is where it normally sits. Maybe let's call it 115, 110, 115. When we got that new, this thing was wild yesterday because it went it spiked up, went up to 156, and then I don't know exactly when the news of the offering came out that was false, but it immediately went down over the next hour. Beneath that 115 level to 66 cents. And then it recovered back to that same level. And then this morning it popped up almost about the same amount to the upside before coming back in. So I think that maybe the move is over. Maybe there's a little bit of some, here and there movement, but I don't know that this is really going to do a whole lot today. I feel like the corrective move is already in. You know, that to correct the downside that it had from the wrong information. So I don't know how much of a trade there is here.
Let's see if we get any more posts back and forth about this that might accelerate it. Well, I mean, look, I'll be honest. I'm kind of glad I stayed away from this one. All right, we'll see.
It just looks like a heart monitor. Like, it's glad to see it still has a pulse, but it's probably going to go back to flatline again.
I like that too. All right, next one here on the list, SLXN. This is Selexion Therapeutics. This is another one that we've traded before off of the relative volume scanner. We popped as high as 160 here. We've backed off that high. Selexion Therapeutics announces preclinical results for RNAi candidate SIL-204 showing potent efficacy against KRAS G12D driven pancreatic, colorectal, and lung cancers. So we got good data here out of a drug that affects or is designed to combat multiple types of cancers on the surface there. That's pretty good. Stock's up 24.5%, 5.15% of the float shorted with 2 days to cover. That comes on an average volume of 3 million shares. We've already traded just shy of 5 million. That's likely going to increase here as this news just hit the wire, a minute ago. Is literally a minute old. Okay, 13. I expect a full breakdown despite the news being out a minute ago. What do you got for us?
All right, here we go. So looking at the financials here, they do have the last reported cash position of 6.1 million in the bank. They look like they're burning at a rate of about 1.5 to 2 a quarter. So it looks like they'll be able to at least continue operations for a short period of time before they need to raise capital, unless there's an offering out that I don't know about. Let's see what else here. No interest. The short interest isn't that big. Float 8.2 million, like you said. I think. Yeah, you know, there's going to have to. Okay, so this is preclinical results. So that just means that they haven't even entered into the cohorts of phase 1, 2, 3, all that. So they're going to have to spend some more money. That might mean another capital raise is coming. I see that they received the listing notice. Did they do a recent reverse split? Usually when I start seeing they get these notices, they have to consolidate shares, raise capital, go through all those motions. So just kind of wondering, how far along are they? Have they done any capital raises recently, and have they done any reverse splits recently? Because that'll tell us how far along and how much risk that we have.
Last reverse split was November of 2024. As far as offerings go, I've got one shortly after that, January of 2025.
Okay. Then I don't know if they're going to need to raise more, but I think that they would. This would be one of those that I'd have to take more time to dig into. But for now, let's just take a look at the chart and see how we can trade this.
Okay.
So 159 was where we ended up blasting off to. We have traded this before because I've got levels marked off here. $2.
Oh, yeah.
$2 is one of the ones I have marked off. That's the next one up. So that would probably be the next target here if we can hold above 1, which it looks like we're on the verge of losing. But if this goes underneath $1, then I just think let's move on and look at something else that might trade better, because that could be about it that we get today. If we don't hold above 1, there we go. Now we're under 1.
Yeah, here we go. All right. SLXN might not be one of the better ones here, but definitely on the movers. All right, that's actually dropping considerably. There were a couple more that I want to go through here. Yeah, definitely a couple more. Next one here. Sorry?
Do we just go over the other two that I was I glanced at? So no, we already looked at NAOV, right?
Yep.
It was up. Okay. Then PLRZ.
Yep.
This one was moving, but it also moved yesterday, and it had large relative volume as a result of that. So I believe that's why we're getting the move today. There wasn't really any news yesterday either. But this company did do a 1 for 250 reverse split earlier this month on the 23rd, and they also received a NASDAQ compliance notice. So this is also another compliance play.
Indeed. And I agree with you. I think the relative volume yesterday probably put it on scans here today. Someone was trading this yesterday. Be careful. I know we talked about the pop and drop when it happened live yesterday. Just be careful again. Next one that I have here is BOSC. This is BOS Better Online Solutions. Shares are trading higher if the company reported a year-over-year increase in its Q1 financial results. The conference call is apparently ongoing right now. This looks like it popped as high as 8 and sold most of that back off. We're down here just shy of $5 on that. Let's see what the print actually was on this. Record $15 million in revenue for the first quarter. GAAP EPS of 22 cents. This expects to surpass its full year expectations. EPS of 23 cents, up from 13 cents year over year. Sales 15.03 million, up from 11.29 million. So it looks pretty good across the board here. Based on our first quarter performance and contract backlog, we are optimistic about surpassing our full year outlook for 2025, which are revenues of 44 million and net income of 2.5 million. So it looks like a pretty good report here. Stocks holding 28% higher here today. 1.94% of the float shorted with 1.31 days to cover. That comes on a paltry average volume of under 35,000 shares a day. Yikes. Today we've traded just shy of 4 million shares. The float on this is 5.5 million. You got anything on this one?
I think this would be another one of those theme stocks that goes along with the robotics and space themes, possibly. Better Online Solutions is a provider of intelligent robotics and supply chain solutions for enterprises. The company manages its business in 3 reportable divisions: Intelligent Robotics segment, RFID division segment, and the Supply Chain Solutions segment. So this could also have a lot to do with tracking transportations as well as the RFIDs. The majority of revenue derives from Supply Chain Solutions, which distributes electromechanical components mainly to customers in the aerospace, defense, and other industries, and is a supply chain service provider for aviation customers that seek a comprehensive solution to their component supply needs. I think this might be one of those, according to, with that theme that I said, but also, one of those things behind the things. So this could be pretty interesting, and I think this is worth keeping on our radar, especially if it's doing well financially and getting good business. So I don't know that it's going to be a massive runner like some of these other ones today. It could be. It's got a low enough float, could get pushed around. But I think just if we look at this company, we look at these larger companies and just kind of think, okay, this actually has it seems like it has a real business in with real demand for their product. So this could be an interesting play, going forward and for the long term. So I think this would be one is to keep an eye on if you're looking for a longer term investment, or maybe even just a day trade if this is it moves pretty well. But it's only up 30% right now. I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot to trade. It just looks like a better investment vehicle than a trading vehicle, even if just kind of thinking out loud here. But that's just the way it looks because of where it is in the in its industry. So
okay,
I'd be interested to watch to see how this grows.
Okay, no, that's really good stuff. Here, really quick, Kevin's saying the thing behind the things, ? Kevin, I don't know if this is a serious question or if you're pointing something out that was missaid. We talk about thing behind the thing kind of being a theme for a lot of these trades. An example of this is things that go into something that make the big thing that everybody's talking about possible. So using an example here with the space theme that 13 covers on a regular basis, Redwire we view as one of the companies that might be a thing behind the thing. The big thing here is getting to space. Redwire does some of the things behind the scenes for some of these companies, giving it a thing behind the thing trade. Did you have anything you wanted to add on that?
Yeah, a really good stock that's a thing behind the thing would have been Cooler. They do thermal management solutions, and they are being used by a variety of different companies. One of them that I like the most is that they already have products in space on Lockheed Martin satellites for their thermal management. So that's a type of thing behind the thing play. That and it's not the greatest example, but that is an example of a company that provides services for other companies that are pretty important.
Good stuff there. So another one that we had talked about with like the GLP-1 angle, right? Like GLP-1s are really popular. Everyone knows Lilly, Hims, and all of that. What about some things behind that that might also benefit from that? Like, I think early on in the GLP craze or theme, we had talked about potential low invasive cosmetic surgery to kind of help some of the issues caused by using GLPs and the accelerated weight loss. This would also make for kind of a thing behind the thing trade. What we're trying to do with this is uncover something that's not yet discovered that has a huge ramp because of something that's either popular or trendy or something of that nature.
Yeah, I remember,
let me know if that answers your question. Maybe you weren't even asking seriously to begin with.
Yeah, I remember I had a lot of really good trades on thing behind the thing ideas. GAN Limited back in when we were going through all these, the pandemic, and we had all these new states coming on with, bringing gambling into their, or they were allowing their citizens to gamble in the state. GAN Limited was one of those companies behind a lot of gambling. So that was getting a lot of movement with these other casino names and and online gambling names like DraftKings. So there was a good number of thing behind the things that will move really well. It's just they're sometimes hard to find, but when you find them, they do end up doing pretty well, and then they fade off into oblivion.
Okay. It looks like our chat is at minimum having fun with our thing behind the thing discussion here. Looks like Crocodile Dummy. I don't want to repeat that, but nice to see where your head's at here this morning. All right. One other one from the mover that I wanted to mention here was AI. That is ticker AI. They reported earnings here last night. Stocks up 16.7%. I actually think this was more than the predicted move, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Options implied a 12% move. We're getting a 16.7% move. We actually have a pretty clear resistance area up here. Let's call it 27 to 27 and a half. If we pop above that, maybe we move higher here. AI, we've talked about this one before. We kind of thought that this was maybe a bit of a pretender in the AI space, not our favorite. Nonetheless, here, though, pretty good report and a move higher here.
Yeah, it had good earnings. It had the high short interest. You combine those two, you get this.
Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting is that they've got a joint venture with Baker Hughes to accelerate AI-driven transformations for the energy and industrial sectors. That's interesting. Wouldn't expect to see this company getting those kind of contracts. They let's see, they also have a contract with the U.S. Air Force. Wow. Okay, so we're getting a lot of surprise headlines here out of this, which a lot of folks, I think, including myself, thought was one of the more junkier AI names, right?
We did kind of slot it in there initially. Maybe it's moving out of that. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, couple more things to go through here. You folks suggested 3 stocks that we wanted to take a look at. We've got 9 minutes till we open up here. Plenty of time to get through all of those. We'd be happy to take more if we need them. First one here was going to be ARM, and I don't think you gave any other context on this. I think you had said, just how about ARM?
It's a thing behind the thing. It's a thing behind the thing.
So okay, this trading up 2.88% here. I got to imagine on the back of NVIDIA's earnings there. Let's see. NVIDIA Pops Q1. Yeah. So I am of the belief that some of these other companies are probably going to be better trades on the AI theme than NVIDIA. We'll see if I end up being right about that. ARM is not one that I've really kind of traded. I will say I absolutely love where this chart's at for a couple of things. First of all, it does look like we kind of have a makeshift head and shoulders here. I know we don't have a very well-defined right shoulder. I'm not going to get hung up on that. Does look like this thing wants to move. Again, it seems like we're kind of in a bullish environment now, especially for chips. This recently moved above its 200-day moving average at 133.82. We've got now 2 closes above that. It looks like, or is this today's candle? So one close above it. We'll see where we go. ARM to me looks like it actually wants to launch from here. If I were swinging this, I'd be looking at probably 160. as one of those levels here. We do have a double top up here at about 188. Unsure if we have the strength to get there. You got anything here on ARM?
I'm not. I mean, it looks like it's great, but I'm not particularly enthusiastic about these any name that's still running after hitting their low from April 7th. This one still hasn't really broken that downtrend. It's continuing to go up. It's already over 69% since that low. So I feel like this would be kind of chasing. If we're going to go for an investment here, I feel like this still needs to cool off before I get excited about it. Maybe it does still go higher. Maybe it goes to 150 before we start cooling off. But I'm not really keen on picking up some of these names that have still not completed their run off the low.
Okay, so not ready yet here on ARM.
I'm not ready. You guys can do whatever you want. You guys can do whatever you want. It doesn't look bad. I know what ARM is and I know what they do. And they're kind of the thing behind the thing with NVIDIA, as is ASML and a number of other things. But I feel like I just don't want to pick things up that are still going on a big run from the lows.
I will say, just because you mentioned it right there in the blurb, I do like ASML more than ARM on the thing behind the thing trade. I know we're the thing behind the thing, so Christoph, now you guys can't say thing for the rest of the day. I can't take it seriously. Yeah, look what we went ahead and did there. 13. Okay. Anyway, I like ASML a little bit more than ARM. There's your ARM breakdown. Really good that we got above the 200-day moving average there. Okay, next stock here. Shayla Vega is asking about Geo. Shayla Vega, I will say I am not 100% on what Story Trading's thesis on this is. And just because I don't know, I'm not going to make an assumption about that. I know that they were recommending this, or they were saying that there was something coming out here. I think you had kind of hinted at it earlier. You had said that there's tested out your guest CEO or GEO pick. He mentioned some insider news that hasn't come out yet, but I'm still not sure what GEO even is. Can you break it down? So GEO, this is the private prison group. This is the for-profit prison group. This actually made a move with Trump's election on the actually punishing criminals as opposed to just letting them roam free. We talked about this when we got that Alcatraz headline. There was no connection to that, so I don't think that's in here at all. I would imagine that's not what the insider news is. I can't speak to what they're waiting for. I will say I've gotten a stock tip from somebody in the past, several actually, about, oh yes, there's going to be news in the future and you want to own this now. And I'll say this, there were a couple of times where that worked, and there were probably a little bit more times where that did not work. So I would say that you should probably have your own thesis here, or at minimum a plan so that this trade doesn't hurt you. In my experience, if I don't have a fully fleshed out thesis on my own, I tend to let that emotional trading slip in a little bit more, and I do a poor job, whether it's getting shaken out or selling too early or whatever it is. But this is a private prison stock, and it looks like, based on what you were saying here, the thesis here is that they're waiting for news that hasn't hit yet. Yeah,
and Izzy, I'll get to Bull in just a second because I think that's worth bringing up. But with regard to Geo, it looks like in their earnings call they had earlier this month, they are eyeing growth potential with an expansion of ICE partnerships. So to that point that was just being made. Yes, there it is. Perfect. Thank you, producer. That's I think that's the big thing that we need to pay attention to, is that whatever ICE or conversation comes out with this company and ICE, that's going to be something that could drive this, because to the point of arresting and putting these illegal immigrants, it's not something we can just send them off to El Salvador like the dangerous ones can, but the less dangerous ones, that could end up in, this type of prison system.
Okay. Really good stuff there. E-Rock saying he called it to hit 28.5 today or tomorrow, and it hit last night. I have a high print here. What, 27? That was I don't have it hitting 28, but there we go. 28.5 looks to be the price target. Shayla Vega, there is your breakdown on Geo. Let me know if that's helpful. I don't have any position on this. I'm not in this trade. Looks like this one came from Story Trading. But there you go. That is your breakdown. Okay, the other one that we had here, how much time do we have? Oh, God, 2 minutes. Steve, I'm sorry. First of all, go Steve. Back from vacation. Welcome back, Steve. It's good to have you back. Oh, my goodness, what on earth is going on here? I cannot. I tell you what, 13. I am.
Okay,
let me misclicking and doing a whole bunch of stupid stuff here today.
Okay, do you want me to just go over Bull real fast for Izzy?
No. Let me cover Elf here real quick. Elf reported earnings last night. Elf had kind of a wild day. We were actually watching this in the happy hour show last night. This immediately sold off. We were wondering if there's anything going on here with the trade down. This is less expensive makeup, as I understand it. Since then, this came all the way back. Today, it's actually run higher here. This is up by 18% here today, 107.01. That actually takes us above the 200-day. This also brings us back to a consolidation area. It looks like this area was, 103 to 117-ish? That should be an important area. I really want to see this hold above 101.5 here today, and then maybe make a run at that consolidation area on ELF. I don't have a trade on this. The action was pretty crazy. We'll see how this trades here today.
All right.
Do you want to go into Bull real quick?
Just real fast. Izzy, the reason why we're getting this downside is because Webull issued a notice of redemption for all outstanding incentive warrants of BULLZ to be redeemed on June 30th, 2025 at 1 cent per warrant, unless exercised at $10 before the share deadline. So being that it's above $10, it's getting pulled down.
There you go. Ivan saying the thing behind the thing is an awesome idea for a t-shirt. We can get to work on that. That'd be sweet to show up with matching t-shirts that had like memes from the show. That'd be a really good idea. All right. We are open. Let's see what the day brings here today, folks.
All right. So looks like ALZN, after we stopped talking about it, it did pop up to that 9 area that we were talking about. It hit 905 as the high, came right back down after that, and was looking for support around the 780, 785 area that we outlined as well. Currently trading right around there, slightly above 785, trying to push up now. Also,
Lion saying buying Google when it dipped under 150 was gold.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Lion, indeed it was. I actually wish I did not take such a short-dated trade on that. I could have held that. That was a massive winner. The thing went to like 170 after that. Those calls were popping.
Yeah, not having a good morning out the gate here, but yeah, everything else you're right. Okay, so ALZN is losing altitude now and coming down to VWAP. See if we get some support there. ZEO not doing a whole lot out the gate. NAOV, same thing.
BOSC rejected already one time here by that VWAP on its first attempt to push higher. ELF continuing its move higher here, 110, going for that consolidation area that we just spoke about. WETO, We Bus International. Now, that's not We Bull. This is We Bus. This popped to 450. It's coming back in. What was this? Was this on news or anything? Announces strategic $300 million non-equity financing plan to establish an XRP reserve. We're getting a Ripple reserve here for global payment solutions. Lion, this is for you.
We're getting some movement here with ALZN. That went down almost to the VWAP and is trying to turn around and retake 785. Looks like if it can go higher, it's going to try and for that 9 level that we outlined earlier. And beyond 9, I have 1110 is the next resistance area.
NVIDIA, first move here out of the open is down. I'm actually not surprised to see that. This kind of feels like profit taking. If there was anyone playing for the print yesterday, so I wouldn't read into this too much. Let's see what happens when this shakes out on NVIDIA. Several of you were mentioning Tesla here. Boy, oh my goodness, this is moving way too fast. Here's Tesla. Tesla popped out of the gate right to the pre-market high and then turned around here, now testing the pre-market low. 363 on Tesla. CoreWeave up another 10%. I felt so bad about that. I was not trying to poke the bear with Adam. I literally wanted to see how he got out of the trade that he was in. CoreWeave, though, just continuing to rip higher here. 130 now. Look, where's the spot where CoreWeave turns around? Anyone got an idea?
When all the shorts are covered, I guess.
Well, Kathy's saying that the shorts must be panicking. Kathy, you got to be dead right about that. They're either panicking, dead, or running for the exits right now. What just a massive move here. QUBT, Izzy was asking about this one earlier. QUBT looks like this popped right at the end of the pre-market there, and then also right out of the open here, trading higher after the company announced it will join the Russell 2000 and 3000 indexes on June 30th.
Cooler did that, or is supposed to be doing that soon, but I think their float's like so large that it's hard for them to get a reaction like that.
Someone should reach out to Pharma Bro and see what his thoughts are on this.
Well, he'll probably be quiet until quantum names all come crashing down, and then he'll be like, "Oh, see, I was right," because he's a scumbag like that.
Amanda, I'll sit and watch CoreWeave from the sidelines. It isn't something you can long or short at this price. I'll tell you what, that sounds spot on. I mean, we talked a little bit about shorting CoreWeave yesterday. I think some of you actually didn't feel great, and now they're getting jammed here again today. Amanda, I don't feel good buying a stock off that type of move higher either, and shorting it certainly hasn't worked. At some point, that's going to change. Your guess is as good as mine as to win. NVIDIA here going for 144. That's going to be your pre-market high.
I've only got a couple of trades in ALZN, and they haven't been great. They're profitable, but they haven't been great. This thing is just can't, making up its mind if it's going to go north or south from 785. Just kind of whipping around here. So I need to just lay off of this for now, because I might hurt myself if I try to trade this again.
Okay, well, 13, I think that's good discipline. I think you're showing some good discipline here.
I appreciate it, man.
AI here ripping. This stock is now up 25% after its earnings here. So another massive move here. Grats to anyone that traded this one. I actually feel bad because at periods in the past, I've actually smacked talked this company. And that hasn't gone well for me. This is a huge winner for anyone that was on this. Kathy also mentioning Kohl's, right? KSS. Kohl's ripping here after earnings. Really interesting, right? We saw Abercrombie, a rip on earnings despite lower sales from its Abercrombie brand. We saw a Guide that was lower. It still moved higher. Macy's had a very similar story. Now we're seeing Kohl's up by 19%.
And I don't know, is any of this coming off the heels of that court decision to curb tariffs?
Well, this is kind of why I tied it together to Abercrombie. Abercrombie and Macy's reported earnings prior to that even being mentioned, and had the same type of performance that Kohl's is having here in terms of going higher on the back of a report that maybe wasn't all that great. So maybe that is what's going on here with Kohl's. This up 20% here today.
Yes,
Dugan asking the same thing. Is that due to the court decision? Must be.
I feel like that's an element to this, but of course you got earnings too. They must be saying something in that conference call that's also causing it to rise, because that's going on right now, right?
Says that it's in progress right now. Yes.
Looks like ZEO is trying to break 3. I see some resistance at 315 if it does get up there. At VWAP is at 321. Some of these movers are trying to do stuff, but they're not working. Like, okay, so I'm glad that I didn't keep trying to hammer ALZN, because that's halted the downside now. So if this, when this halts, this will probably open beneath the VWAP again, and this could continue to go further south. If that is going to be the case, then it looks like to me about 560 could be a spot where it finds support, and if not there, the 65 EMA at 531.
Okay.
None of these movers this morning really doing a whole lot for us.
No. ELF just continuing to rip higher here. This also might be on that decision, right? Didn't we talk about this yesterday? I can't remember.
ELF
about tariffs actually affecting this company. Yeah. So
apparel and cosmetics probably going to have a good day on the heels of that ruling, that decision.
QUBT selling that news here on the inclusion in the Russell 2 and 3000.
Hey,
that actually totally reversing and coming back in now.
Sell that news.
Serve, we mentioned this with Adam here earlier this morning. He had talked about Rich Tech, ticker RR, Rich Tech Robotics as being part of the robotic theme. We also shared some news about Serve. Looks like it popped here and reversed, but that it's holding the pre-market lows there. I'm going to keep an eye on this one with the robotic theme heating up a little bit. Just for a short-term trade. Nothing like a long swing or anything like that. Just short-term.
Qs are getting hammered.
So is the SPY. So we'll see. I don't want to make an early call here. But I want to see how this shakes out here today. A lot of stuff coming back in. Palo Alto lower, Apple lower, Netflix lower, NBIS lower. That actually looks like it might give up 40 here. Tesla's bouncing off those pre-market lows. Goldman Sachs at the lows. A lot of stuff turning around here. Uber is pounded, says Izzy.
You know that earnings, that's the first time that NVDA reported mixed earnings in 10 quarters.
Yeah, they were very quick to remind you that if it wasn't for the $4.5 billion charge, they actually would have beat.
Oh, God, the ego.
They said that a couple of times. Not just Jensen, but the CTO as well. Or excuse me, CFO.
I every day with this company, I feel like we're being fed more and more lies. And one day we're going to get this big reveal of the true state of things, and it's going to hammer the entire market.
Okay. I tried to cover that a little bit without putting words in your mouth before you got on here today. I had mentioned how we had covered some of the graphics card stuff as well as your thought that this might actually bleed into some of the AI chips, which I think is spot on. So we'll see if we do end up getting that there. Appreciate you sharing that with the whole group here.
Yep. So I still have these, I really want to like NVIDIA, but the more I learn about it and the more that I see this, the more I'm just like, man, we are not being told everything at all. And I feel like once the smoke clears, it's gonna be pretty bad. So unless there's something that comes along and changes my viewpoint on that, I'm very, very cautious and skeptical about things that are being said coming out of NVIDIA.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Kevin's saying easy on the conspiracy theories as if they haven't been mostly right over the last several years. Come on, Kevin. Come on. And the other thing is you're coming up with a thesis based on stuff that you're seeing the company doing, right? This is not necessarily an unresearched thesis on what's going on. So just to be clear.
Yeah, ZEO has been trying to push back up to its VWAP, having an okay time since the open, but not a whole lot of distance covered. Still looking pretty weak. Like maybe we do get a tap of VWAP and then it just rolls over. We'll see what happens. The volume's not great right now in this one.
316, that VWAP spot that we're looking for there. Amanda, if you have to hype regarding NVIDIA, if you have to hype your product that hard, something is up. Look at the other chips keeping their heads down and doing their jobs.
Yeah.
Good observation there, Amanda. And then Joe, you were asking about TEM. Jay, big time shout out to you. We had covered the Spruce Point Capital. I want to make sure I get it right. Spruce Point, right?
Yes,
yeah, Spruce Point Capital. Sorry, 1 sec, 13. We had covered the Spruce Point Capital short report on this yesterday. Jay, I know that you had mentioned give it a couple of days. So let me just put you on the spot here, Jay. Is this a long, either at some point today or maybe even tomorrow? Are you looking for a regression back to the mean here to the mid 60s handle? Let me know. Sorry, 13. Get in there.
SBET having a nice morning. It's still going. It's up 20%. Don't know if there's news here. Let me look.
This was the mover from yesterday, was it not? No, day before.
2 days
day
ago,
before, yep.
Sharp Link Gaming jumps 400%, gets 425 million fund. What's Sharp Link Gaming? I haven't heard of that before.
That's SBET.
It is? Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought it was something else. Price. Okay. So they did price the shares in the private placement at $6.15. So it looks like that's one of the reasons why it's moving, if not the reason. That was from. Nope, I'm sorry. I got my stuff all mixed up here because I thought that was from today. It's not. I'm sorry, folks.
It's okay.
I don't
It's
have.
okay.
I don't have the exact read on why this is going up.
I think this was earnings, right? From what was this, Tuesday? This was the move here on Tuesday was huge. 425 million, it wasn't earnings, excuse me. 425 million private placement, no dilution. Use the proceeds to adopt the Ethereum treasury strategy.
Yeah, look at this post by Stress Relief. He builds gaming computers for a living, and AMD GPUs are dominating the atmosphere.
Yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. I saw that here. I wanted to shout that out when we got it. Can you give me a little bit more context? Do you build for a company? Are you seeing what people are ordering? Are you bench testing and looking at performance metrics? Give me a little bit more on this. I think this is an interesting comment.
Yeah, I'd like to know more as well. Like, how do you feel about NVIDIA not being able to produce a decent driver for their RTX 50 series? Or how about the fact that none of the drivers they've been coming out with this year have really been stable enough for past graphics cards? I'd like to know a lot more about what you do and how
Me too.
you think about AMD versus NVIDIA. Very, very curious. And thank you for joining us.
PLTR here, indeed getting spanked. Some of you are mentioning that one. Does anyone have a short trade here on Palantir? This is another one that we had talked about, maybe moving too quickly or too much, too fast, and not feeling great about playing a regression back to the mean. Let me know if you have any targets here to the short side on Palantir. Actually, if you have long side targets, I'd like to know what those are too.
ALZN is trying to bust into the 8 handle. It opened slightly lower and recaptured all that it gave up. Now it's trying to go higher. It's trying to bust into that 8 handle where right now there's a large concentration of shares preventing that from happening. But we do get into that 8 handle. We could go on a bit of a run here, maybe back up to 9. So let's see what we get here if this can get back above 785 and bust through 8.
Here's the exact comment that I was looking for, 13. We're a small company, but performance to price, AMD is awesome. This is something that we have kind of speculated about recently. We had mentioned that. The 9070 XT competes with the 5080 on some games, and it's $800 cheaper. That doesn't even make mention of a good driver set that AMD, at least in my experience, AMD has always produced pretty good drivers for the products that I have used. NVIDIA, by the way, backing off that high that it just put in there. Stress, this is really good stuff. We appreciate you sharing your expertise with us.
Thank you.
Frank, yes. Good morning, Frank. God, I'm glad you're here. Frank mentioning that they shorted Oklo here with a nibble on next week. It's already moving quickly. So this, again, another trade idea coming out of the happy hour last night. We took a look at some of these. We had talked about, especially while we were watching NVIDIA's earnings report, we had talked about some of the nuclear stocks and where this is and how long it's going to take for this to get up and running. We took a look at OKLO's daily, and good Lord, this looks like a short, doesn't it? This looks like this is coming back in a regression back to the mean. Frank, I think that you talked about using puts for this to define your risk ahead of the short here. Love that. I said I was going to put that on my list, and I didn't buy anything yet. Shame on me. Let me take a look here. Good stuff there, Frank. Let me know what you were targeting here in terms of time frame.
CF Forsman says Tesla's been bipolar since the bell. So let me take a look.
Whoa. Kathy mentioned that Kohl's is halted to the downside here. Indeed, it is. Looks like this is just a volatility halt, though. Says reason not available. I got to think. There we go. It's resumed moving lower here. It was definitely a volatility halt. Okay, Tesla, you wanted me to go to? Sorry if I'm behind here, folks.
That's okay. We're all over the place this morning.
No, but you know what? Like even me earlier, I was battling my allergies earlier. It was embarrassing. I was fumbling over words. Not my best day. Not my best day. Here is your Tesla, though. This actually moved to the pre-market lows, held it, and bounced here. We've reclaimed the VWAP, have we not? Oh, no. Starry rejected right there at the VWAP.
It looks like the highs going into the end of after hours on Tuesday were also the highs in pre-market today. It's also where the price tried to go up to again at the open and was rejected there. And now it looks like it's just going to head lower I think 360 is going to be the spot to watch for support.
Drink more coffee, right? It solves all of this. Fact check accurate, Kevin. That is absolutely true. Interesting. Jay mentioning that the IWM gave up its overnight gains. Jay, it's not just the IWM. Okay, IWM completely retracing that, but the SPY, the Dow, and the Qs, they're all doing the same thing. They're all, look at this. This is pretty much back down to that as well. QQQ. Let's take a look at SPY here. Congrats to anyone that was playing the short instruments. I didn't have any of those on here today. Your SPY almost completely round-tripped as well. Jane's asking if I take any antihistamines. No, I try to take as few drugs as possible. I try to eat an apple instead of taking drugs, for example, doing push-ups.
Daniel, I think ALZN's about ready to go. It certainly looks like it's still trying for that meaningful break and hold into 8. It just keeps breaching it, and then it just comes right back in, even lower than where it was prior to the break. So there are some dirty dogs hanging out there up there at around 815, 810. They need to get taken out. Volume's not too bad, but they need a little bit more to just keep it going here.
Frank, your Oklo target, June 6 expiry, $43 strike. Thank you, Frank. CA Forsman out money there on Oklo. Good stuff. Someone else here. Sean rang the register at 9:35. Good stuff there.
Robert saying he likes ESTC for the earnings tonight. We have Webcoin mentioning HBIO, no news, but it's moving. Jonathan Cooper also said home sale data in 11 minutes. So that could be something to watch for if you're looking at doing a trade on the mortgage names or the builders. So that might move or get a little bit of movement with that print. We'll see. Yeah, it did hit. It did hit that 810 briefly. Yeah, it just popped up in there and it came right back down. That was ALZN. So still here we are, still hanging out beneath that 780, 785 number. Not able to get and hold back into it. Still above VWAP though. So if VWAP fails here, then this is probably not looking great anymore.
KSS continuing to come back in. ALZN, this sure feels heavy to me, at least from looking at the chart. Someone mentioned Vuzi. Was this Kevin Robinson earlier? Did I miss that, Kev? Let me see.
I saw somebody had mentioned Vuzix.
I'm willing to bet that I missed it. I'm trying to do a better job at that, but.
And it's also because Vuzix is going to join the Russell 3000 and 2000. That was news from Tuesday. Looks like there's no news today. But, Kevin
also mentioned Fubo earlier.
Yeah. Looks like Blink Charging and GoPro are going to be leading the Russell 3000.
That GoPro one doesn't surprise me. Sonny, this is the first I've seen of this. Fidelity site is down and has caused chaos. Uh-oh. That's no good. Smoke Tuna Bonjour saying the market feels like a ghost town. There's no volume. It does kind of feel bidless right now.
Yeah. Do you feel like that they're, traders are kind of, what's the word? Uncertain?
Oh, 13. You make me laugh.
Okay, here we go. Maybe ALZN is going to do something this time. Just, be careful in case it does this, thing where it pops up over 8 and then comes back in again.
I think your $8 level is going to be key there. How about Jennifer saying, how about NAOV and the fake news? Wild stuff here, Jennifer. Nanovibronics shares are trading higher. The company announced that in a series of posts made earlier today regarding a $26 million registered direct offering were falsely issued. How about it? I'm not sure what you want me to say about it. Stay away from it. If you were able to make money off of this, congrats. This to me is a no touch. Stuff like that, no thank you. No thank you. Yes, Jay, I actually do. So Jay here, victory lap. This is a well-earned victory lap. This is a multi-year call, Jay, and I actually remember when those charging stocks were hot, you took some crap for saying that. I literally remember remember that happening. Jay had mentioned here that the CEO is sketchy. Blink, this was $4. This was, I think, at one point double digits when we were first talking about it. This thing's a penny stock now. Jay, do your victory lap. And yes, this week we were definitely trading this when this was double digits. Definitely. BLNK. Good stuff there, Jay.
Robert asking, what is the take on the SC tariff ruling? Wasn't this the International Trade Court that ruled this? Not
Yes.
the Supreme Court?
Yes, it was the IEEPA. The internet, and that is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act.
I won't get too much into it, but I think this is just going to create more uncertainty in the market. I feel like that's really what it comes down to. You know, we had things going a certain way. We already knew what, was happening. Things are starting to become clear. And then this happens. It's a monkey wrench situation, I think. Ankit is also asking, any advice on AVGO? We don't give advice, but we will take a look at AVGO because I'd
be happy to break down the chart for you, but we do not give financial advice. If you are looking for actual financial advice, please consult a financial advisor, someone that is looking out for your best interest. However, I'd be happy to take a look at the chart for you.
Yeah, it looks like, this is going to be down with a lot of the other names, including NVIDIA, that I think are selling off right now. So, NVIDIA is technically up, but it is selling out of the open. I like Broadcom. I own it, and I'm going to own it for a while. This is, gone on a great run the past few weeks. So, and it had a really good day yesterday. It's just kind of given up back yesterday's gains. The chart, the 5-minute chart, when you look at yesterday going into today, that does have a pretty bearish looking head and shoulders there. So it looks like today, at the very least, we're just going to lose all the upside it had yesterday. I think that you might get some better support around 238. And if not there, maybe 236. But I don't think we're going to start, plummeting and all this loss kind of situation with Broadcom. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, my thought here with Broadcom is this is definitely one of the stocks to consider adding on weakness. I'll be honest, given the environment that we're in right now with some of the uncertainty that we were just talking about, I'm not thrilled about buying a potential breakout. This to me actually looks like a resistance level. As such, then I would wait for this to come back in and then maybe try and add on weakness. One of the other things that I would do is I would extend 13's trend line here. Depending on how long this takes, this actually might mark a support area where we could add one of those long side swings.
And remind me what that one was getting asked about earlier, where I said I didn't really want to do anything with it because it's still, in that uptrend that it's had since.
Was that ARM? ARM?
Yes, ARM. I think that was it. So same situation here with Broadcom. This is not one I would buy here. I bought it, I bought it on the way down. So I have my position. But if I was going to think about, starting a position now, I wouldn't buy. I don't think I'd be buying up here.
Okay. Jax is asking market order versus limit order for day trading. I got to say limit order. The only instance in which I would use a market order is if I'm in something and I'm trying to sell into strength, I might sell it all at market. I would have to have a gain for that to be the case. Otherwise, limit orders for sure.
Yeah, you can really, your plan will get completely thrown off if you try to do a market order and think, I'm going to get in this at 775 or whatever. And you do a market order and it fills you at $8. And I'm like, wait a minute, what happened? Well, you basically took the highest ask at the time. So do a limit order if you want to get a specific price. And really the only limit orders that you should be using when it comes to day trading is stops. Or market orders, I mean. Because the market stop is effectively a market order. It's once you hit that price you have your stop at, it converts it into a market order and it sells at the next bid.
Now, some of your brokers, though, will allow you a stop market or a stop limit order. Yes. So it will actually place those. So be sure you're looking into that. That's actually a really good mention. Amanda here saying it's almost time to go long in CrowdStrike, ticker CRWD. I want to hear more about this, Amanda, because I'm a humongous cybersecurity theme guy here for this year. looking at CrowdStrike here, I'll tell you what, the ad was the 200 day on Liberation Day. What a missight that was to not add that down there. What level are you looking for here, or what are you looking for the chart to do here? And are you waiting for the earnings print to be out first before you take that trade? Let me know. Give me a little bit more context. I don't have a position on this. I wish I did, and I would be interested to see how you're going to trade that.
We have the data coming up that Jonathan was mentioning earlier. That's in 2 minutes.
Kevin saying market orders are really bad with lower volume stocks. 100%. Sweet one. Nice to see you again, sweet one. I don't mind market orders when the spreads are small on large, trustworthy stocks. Indeed.
Yeah.
Stocks like Apple, Tesla, even on some of those day trades, sometimes I'll be able to use market orders in and out of those. Very, very specific case. That's a good mention there. Sweet one. Tony, it's great to see you again.
And if you would like to learn more about that, I don't think it's a very long lesson you have to be taking. Just spend an hour, find out what all these different types of orders are and how they work, and then you'll be ready to go. And there's not a whole lot of different ones you can do, so it won't take long to learn it. But I definitely would suggest that learn about the different orders so that when you come back and you trade, you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, the other thing is that don't rely on paper trading to learn that either, because the way, at least in my experience with paper trading, the way that they do those fills is not the way it works in real life. And so if you start to get accustomed to using those orders on paper trading, you're going to notice it behaves a little bit differently when it's real. Maybe just reduce your size instead to get a feel for that, if that is in fact what you need here. I was just looking at the list of movers here. AI looks like it stopped there just shy of 30. VSIG, I didn't cover this one here this morning. The only thing I would have said about this is just to be careful, because we've traded this one before. It's crappy. Be careful. Trying to see if there's anything else going on here. Yeah, God, it's nasty. Here's Vuzi, by the way. This actually broke through the trend line that we have here. 13. Right. You had to have helped me draw this one.
Yeah, because I've covered Vuzi in the past, and this was the one I always thought that Apple should have probably acquired or done something with, because they didn't have a smart glass segment, and they are still planning on putting out smart glasses in 2027, but I think they're going to be really behind at that point, and they should have completely scrapped the heads that they did come out with, because I thought that was a mistake. Really, I think smart glasses are going to be the way to go. And look at this ALZN. It looked like it got flushed, and then it bounced back right up to that 785 level again. This thing, man, you got to be careful with this, because I really just don't know what this is going to end up doing. But if we do break through that $8 and start to and take out all those sellers that are keeping this thing down, this thing might have a really, really large move.
U.S. pending home sale index for April, 71.3 versus the 76.1 prior read there. So that number's a little bit soft. Don't think the market is responding to that. U.S. pending home sales month over month for April, minus 6.3 versus the minus 9/10 estimate. The prior read was minus 5.5. Yikes. You got a knee-jerk reaction on that print?
That's a big decline over the estimate.
We had our real estate discussions here had been there. Everyone seems to be waiting for a rate move down,
or recession.
We're unsure when we're going to get that.
Yeah, rates or recession. One of the two is going to help bring housing down.
You folks are mentioning that ELF is on fire here. ELF back tested its VWAP. Looks like it might retest 120 here. Would maybe a stab there at a alongside trade there. Not terrible.
No shelf for that ELF.
No shelf for that ELF. Jay, good mention here. I know it's early, but I asked you right here about TEM, and you said you'd start nibbling it. That was 3 points ago already. TEM reminds me of TMDX, another name the shorts hit hard, but has bounced back like a rocket. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, you had said start nibbling here on that Spruce Point thing, and then you're comparing it here to what? Let me make sure I get the ticker right. TMDX. I think there's another one that's similar to this.
Yeah,
Oh
Joby.
my heavens to Betsy. What on earth is going on here? Why did this all change? Here's TMDX, very similar, right? Got pounded, really kind of bottomed out here around 60. This has been a double so far. Josh mentioning that this dropped yesterday after the Spruce Point Capital. This thing got slaughtered yesterday, down 20%. It actually looks like it retested yesterday's lows right out of the open and bounced from here. Jay, really good stuff here on that ad. I was left unfilled on this, by the way. Unfilled on this one. I tried to cheap out, and now I'm being punished.
Michael Del Soto bring up ORIC. This thing is up 37% right now. Looks like there's also a short, high short interest, so it could be squeezing on that. They just got a buy rating from Cantor Fitzgerald. And JP Morgan has also commented that they have a home run scenario from their pharmaceuticals data. So, he also got a buy from Oppenheimer. So looks like ORIC is moving on fund manager comments. They also had some other news yesterday too that it could also be continuing its run from.
838, 840 seems to be the resistance area that stopped ORIC here today. We'll see if we can get through that. Joe, so here we go. So Joe's saying, took my first nibble on TEM. Jay, good stuff. Joe saying, you alluded to some criticism of the TEM short report yesterday. Any word on that? So one of the things that we've done here as a group, Joe, prior to you arriving, we've actually seen a number of different companies that produce short reports, whether it's Citron, Kerrisdale, Muddy Waters, Spruce Point. There are some others in there. And one of the things that we've discovered is that some of these shops actually do a better job than others or do better research than others. The discussion yesterday, I am not as familiar with Spruce Point. I was actually leaning on Jay, who had mentioned here that this might be, these stocks like to recover, so maybe wait this out a few days. I followed up with him today, and sure enough, he's doing exactly as he said, as he's nibbling on that. I don't know if it was a criticism of the report itself. I'm not going to disparage somebody else's research. It was more, what kind of patterns have we learned about some of these different houses or firms, and how can we apply that to the trade going forward? So the thought here was that the Spruce Point report may have created a buying opportunity on TEM. So far, looks like that's the case.
Was asked by who was asking? Ivan, level 2 on Intel. I want to see if it has bottomed. So this is looks like it's a biotech company.
Yeah, this is a gene editor. This is one of the gene editing companies. NTLA, EDIT, and CRISPR all fit into the same theme.
I don't know if it's bottomed. It's not really moving very much. Volume's very, very low. It's trying to recapture VWAP. It does look like it's kind of going sideways, or it might have found a bottom. Let me do this. I'd say that if it continues to hold above $7, then the bottom for the moment is in, because you've got a lot of buyers stepping in when it went under 7. So if it continues to hold above 7 and then crosses VWAP, this might be beginning to recover. You do have a lot of resistance on the way up, because I see levels, from the downside in the pre-market. 740 is going to be one. Looks like 725 is another. So there are a number of levels in the way that could provide for resistance. 765 looks like a big spot. But if it can start closing above VWAP on the 5-minute chart, like we get several closes above there, I think that you might see a turnaround here in NTLA. I just would be careful with this because the volume is very, very low.
Yeah, so what's going on here? This had bad news about one of its trials. Looks like this came out yesterday, the Magnitude trial. Intellia discloses grade 4 liver transaminase Evolution, God, I don't know what any of this shit means. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a medical guy. In its magnitude trial. So got bad news here. Looks like it's kind of bidless based on the you're saying that there's not a whole lot of volume on here.
No.
Looking into what some of the analysts think here, looks like H.C. Wainwright reiterating their buy, maintaining a $30 price target. Bank of America lowered their target from 43 to 39. I wonder what else folks have on this. Let's take a look. 30, 30, 10, 45, 10 are your price targets there. Citigroup and Wedbush seem to be the closest here. Oh my God, Chardon Capital had a $68 price target on this thing. No good, no bueno.
What is this? The federal court's decision to strike down President Trump's tariffs could have widespread effect on the economy.
What are you looking at?
I'm on the Qs because the Qs are selling off right now. And earlier this morning, shortly after we opened, there's this article that came out. And it's saying, considering the same level of imports from 2024, the Kobayashi letter has calculated a rough amount of $10 billion in tariff revenue that the U.S. must have collected since April 2nd so far. I think it's more than that, but we'll go with that. This includes so thus, if the federal court orders are upheld despite Trump administration's appeal, the government would have to refund an amount of around $10 billion to its trading partners. So now we're talking about capital outflows from the U.S. as a result of tariffs. That's not good.
Well, let's cheer because Trump got dealt an L.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding, and I shouldn't really incite fighting. I try to do it tongue in cheek, but it probably doesn't go over tongue in cheek. I probably shouldn't do that.
I think that court ruling's very, very bad.
Let's see what happens, though. I really suspect that that's going to just get thrown out. I'll be quite honest with you. S&P futures continue to tick lower here, actually at the day lows across the board. Dow, Hughes, and SPY, and I believe IWM the same deal, although some individual names look like they might be firming up a little bit here. What?
Man, this Qs, the Qs are just they're selling off. Let's see, maybe there's support coming at 518. We'll see. Yes, they apparently do, Jay. They apparently do. And China loves the courts because here's the thing. It's funny because
BRB
we give China access to our courts, but we're not allowed to have access to theirs. Seems fair, right? HBIO, a penny stock, but moving. Now, I think we looked at this one earlier. Double check here. Harvard Bioscience. Yeah, this, what was the news on this one? Doesn't look like there was any. This is a penny stock. So I think we saw it, but we didn't really jump into it or cover it because we don't normally cover those sub $1 names. Delist Chinese stocks. Yeah, I mean, well, that could be coming. That could be coming. All right. So what else is happening here? Anything that looks good to anybody? Because maybe aside from the bear directional ETFs, CEO, some of these movers from this morning have done absolutely nothing. ALZN actually no strength in this thing right now. It continues to print lower. This thing looks like it's going to eventually head to 650, maybe even under 6. What else we got here? Everything just not looking great right now. What is everybody? Do you see a bottom for IBIT? Let's see. Let me see what I got with IBIT.
Okay, sorry about that.
Hey, we're looking at IBIT right now.
Got it.
And we're looking for a potential bottom here. So we're coming down to a price where it was topping out at last year and in January. So that's a support area that it's at right now. Let's say it's in the 60 handle. Don't know exactly what the support number is, but it's in the 60 handle. But if we start losing $60 in IBIT, then the bottom's not going to be in. I think that we could still continue to see some more weakness in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking at the Bitcoin futures chart, 13. It looks like 11:45 Central Time last night. So I beg your pardon, 12:45 Eastern. Bitcoin had bottomed here at about 107. It's at 107,335 right now. So I actually think it has a little bit more room before it tries to find some support there at 107. Remember, this is the futures, the CBOE futures ticker that I'm quoting you there.
Sorry that didn't work out, Brian. Just stick with the rules. We'll come back tomorrow. We'll have a better day. Hey, good morning, Matt. ALZN done? Yeah, it looks that way. Looks, at least for the time being. Maybe it comes back later.
One thing that I'll just kind of add here, I know, Brian, this isn't going to help, but just kind of, it's not going to help the trade here. One of the things that I've done, I also have taken some pretty nasty losses on some of these crappy movers that we've tried to trade here. And there's times where these really work well, and there's other times where they just kind of don't feel all that great. And that was kind of the environment that I felt that I was in. I took a step back. I absolutely did less trading. In fact, some of you folks were even asking me, like, Izzy, you were asking me if I've even traded. No, I was taking a step back from that. And then I focused more on some of these larger names, and I'm doing a lot better P&L wise. Maybe that's something to take a look at here. We'll have opportunities every day, but some of these that are just wild and back and forth, maybe not the best things to trade. I've had some pretty good results kind of shifting to some of the things that I understand a little bit better. Maybe that'll be something that could work for you. Smoke tuna, I love this. Today is not the day to push too much. No volume, no trade. Smoke tuna continually dropping really smart things here on the show on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we talk about volume so much. We need that to be, it has to be enough in order to get to the prices we're looking at for entries and exits. And if we just don't have that kind of volume, we're just not going to get those kind of moves. It's going to be sluggish. And even if we do get to the price we're looking for, it's going to be such a long time, or it just might not happen quick enough that once we do end up getting there, we may not see the reversal or the price action we're looking for once we've entered our position. It could just continue to go in the direction that it was when you entered, which is down. And that's what you want. So when it comes to volume, that is one of the number one things that we look at every day. We have to have it, or else these trades will not work.
Mark here saying, this was me. I disappeared for 6 months on tiny trades. Now I'm dipping back in. You had to recalibrate. One of the things when I first started doing this, one of the things that more experienced traders told me, they said, Ryan, you might find something that's perfect. You might make a ton of money off of it, but please be advised that the market changes on average about every 6 months. That was before Trump. Once Trump got on the scene, it seems like the market kind of changed a little bit quicker than that. But the overall point here was that as a trader, I needed to change or I was going to get destroyed. The market's not going to wait for me. So recalibrating here, Mark, you're talking about having to recalibrate. This is something that I think we all have to do at different points. And I don't think that's bad. I think the fact that you're realizing that is the first step to being able to do this long-term, one of them. I'm
sorry, I didn't see who, Jonathan Cooper, SGBX, some movement, SGD could follow. I'm looking at SGBX. This is, it's been doing pretty good this morning. The one he's also mentioning, SGD, Safe and Green Development, that hasn't gotten going yet to his point, but once it does, that dollar, it looks like once we get over $1, here's a couple of areas of resistance that I'm seeing. 102, not very much. 102 and 105, almost 106, going to be resistance areas.
And that's for SGD. Okay, I had SGBX, and those are similar. Okay, good stuff there. Okay, real quickly here, Maz Ruhr saying, Ryan, you should have charged $1 million for that advice. It's spot on. Step back, look for quality setups, though it is hard sometimes. That is, I wouldn't charge for something like that. That's something that can benefit everybody here. No charge for stuff like that. That's for sure. Amanda, I asked you earlier about CrowdStrike, and I'm willing to bet that you answered me, and I just missed it. And so I'm going to go back and look for that here real quick.
Take care, Line. Have a good one. Line splitting.
Yeah, take care of yourself, Lion. Sorry, I'm hunting through. I had asked a specific question, and here we go. I knew she would have done that. Regarding CrowdStrike here, I asked what the area was or what you were looking for here. CrowdStrike 458 is looking like a nice V-shaped bottom to me. I'll sell puts into this at the 450 strike and take profit when the volume contracts. Okay. Well, first of all, your spots look spot on. I mean, you're off by $3 here on a $450 stock. That's pretty accurate. Your 450 area, this is a line that we had actually marked off on here, right? This is a trend line that currently seems to be going to 450. I'll sell puts into the 450 area. That's right here. That is the back test of the trend line. And I'll take profit when the volume contracts.
Did you see Richard's comment that Jensen
I like it, Amanda.
is selling or is going to sell 800 million of NVIDIA stock that he has?
Which one? Sorry?
Richard had said that there was a headline that came out about Jensen Huang he's going to sell 800 million of NVIDIA stock.
Yeah, I think that was...
It's right there, just before 10.
Jensen to sell 500 million of NVIDIA stock. This came from Barron's. Did we knew about this, didn't we? I don't think this is new. SPY, by the way, lost 590. That was a level that we had dealt with yesterday.
When did we know about that? I didn't know about it. When did we?
I could have sworn, and maybe I'm mixing this up with something else. I could have sworn that we knew he was. I'll tell you what. This isn't responding to that, is it? I guess maybe it is. Never mind. Sorry.
No, it just was interesting because I hadn't heard about that yet, and we know that he's been quite a big seller. He was last year.
Yep.
So I don't remember if he sold that much in any one of his tranches that he did last year, because that's a large size. So don't know. That was old news, over an hour old. Okay, I hadn't seen that yet. But thank you, Richard, for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah.
Looks like ZEO has come back up to its VWAP.
Oh, by the way, seeing here, CoreWeave. Thank you, Christian Fromhertz. CoreWeave not eligible to short in E-Trade. It is hard to borrow, and that could also help explain the relentless bidding that we're seeing on that.
Is he saying Bezos, Ryan selling? No one knew about Jensen.
Oh, okay. So what he's saying, it was the Bezos one that we knew about. The Jensen one is new, and you're right, Izzy. That might be it. And that Barron story, by the way, is behind a paywall, so we're not getting the specifics there. We're just getting the headline there.
Folks, you trading SBET? You looking for 50? Is that what it is?
I think Crow's on SBET here.
Yeah, it is moving. What are you thinking? Thinking we do go to 50 or what?
Looks like he's trying to break this high and go to that 50 spot.
BA is running, says Mike. What do we think about Joby? Joby and Archer, we like eVTOLs. You decide which one you want to be in. Some folks like Archer, some folks like Joby. They're both look like they're primed to do pretty well.
NVIDIA news was pre-market.
Yeah, it was pre-market. It was. Hold on, let me get the exact time that this came out. Oops. That was. Well, the headline that I have here was from 9:57, so it came out. That's after, but let me see.
Whoa, Boeing's. Sorry to interrupt. Boeing popping on volume here. Did we get? Boeing CEO at Bernstein conference reportedly says company wants to hit 47 planes per month production rate for the 737 MAX by the year end. Chinese Airlines going to take deliveries of new aircraft starting in June. How about that? Very close to achieving 38 per month production rate for the 737 MAX. You're getting good news here out of that 737 MAX plane for Boeing, ticker BA. This popping here up 4.2% on volume here too.
What do I think of Lucy? That's the smart glasses. So they have products and they're in Target and they're competing with the Ray-Bans from Meta. When you think of like where it's going to go, or let me take a look at the chart. Maybe that's what you're asking. Let's take a look here. Looks like they had news today. Major update for iOS and Android. What's the financials look like? They still aren't quite profitable yet. And balance sheet looks all right. Where does this go? Let's see if we can answer that question.
ZEO coming up on a VWAP test.
So with Lucy on the daily chart, we are getting a silver cross today. And if that leads to more upside, which I anticipate it will, I think you're going to want to keep an eye out for $4. That looks like the next resistance level. And maybe 465 after that, and then the 200-day SMA. Those would be the next levels I'd be watching for Lucy. Now, keep in mind, it is at a 64 RSI. So getting to those levels will probably make it extended unless there's a pullback coming prior to that. But that's what it looks like to me. And I think that Lucy is probably one of the more interesting names in the wearables to watch for right now, since they have products that are being sold and they're at Target and they're competing with other bigger names. Seems pretty good, but we'll see if we can even get to that 4 level.
This TEMT is an ETF that's QBTS and TEM.
Oh, the short interest for Lucy? Yeah, 57.7% with 1 day to cover. So it's, it could cover that in a day because its float is 1.8 million shares. No worries, Izzy. Any reason for downtrend? Let me see. I mean, hasn't it gone on a massive run lately?
I don't see anything in the news. This might just be a technical level here.
Probably. I mean, we just hit that trend line that we drew. Did you draw it, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got it right here.
So there we are. Got a rejection of that trend line. And now I think I want to even say that I mentioned watch what happens with the 20-day SMA in one of these past shows. Because now here we are today, having lost the 20-day SMA, something that we've held on to since we recaptured it on April 11th. I think the next thing you're going to want to watch for is we do have these highs from February, but I feel like $80 is the level to watch for, and that's just slightly above the 50-day SMA. I think that's the area to watch for.
Izzy, this Uber move down here today, this is on the back of the Tesla news, right? This is going to be on the back of the robotaxi event that's starting up here in June 12th. This is imminent, and as a result, Uber's taking it here today. Here's the story, by the way, for that Waymo Tesla battle, if you will, for the self-driving cars. That's got to be what's affecting it here today, I would think. I don't see anything else in the news. You think Elon back with autonomous is down hard today on the news? Yes. I think we had that thought at the same time based on when you typed that, Izzy. That's magnificent. Stress relief. Defense sector looks like it's bullish against the market. LMT, RTX, and L3 Harris. That's LXRX, right? No, damn it. I always mess this up. I hate LHX.
If the market's having a bad time and tech's not having a great time, I think that you might be seeing just a flight to safety, some of the more defensive stock names. So That'd be like consumer staples, industrial, defense, utilities. How's utilities doing?
Jay here, sorry 13, if you need me to focus on that, I'd be happy to. Jay here reiterating, he's already said this once, I'm telling you, I've never seen so many Waymos last night at the airport. This is not great for Uber or Lyft. You're talking about Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. I've been there at least once a year for the last 5 years, twice a year. One trip in there at least for the last 5 years. I've seen Waymos every time I go in there, and lots of them. Lots of them.
So looking at XLU, it's up slightly today. Let's look at ITA. That's up slightly. So some of these safety sectors, they're getting some attention, but it doesn't seem like everybody's just completely rolling into them right now. It's also been on a pretty nice run too. I mean, ITA, ever since April 7th. What are we at from that low? We're at about 36% from that low. Pretty good.
Market may have found its footing here about yesterday's lows prior to the earnings report. 589 here on the SPY. Let's see what the Qs look like. Looks like that sell-off might be at least over or taking a break for right now. Qs look the exact same here.
I don't think I gave levels on Vuzik's Master. We were just talking about it. But there is a trend line. There's a trend line that it is breaking. So if we do get a close above this and continue to move up, one of the let's see, it looks like $4, maybe just slightly before that, but $4 looks like a really important level that it needs to get back over. That would be the one of the early levels I'm looking at now. Keep in mind the RSI on the daily chart is approaching 70. So even with additional moves up here, I don't feel like there's going to be a whole lot more before this thing has to cool off. And when that happens, we'll back test this trend line.
Jay here, this is the other thing that I'm thinking about for Uber. Jay here mentioning Uber and Lyft prices are no bargain anymore compared to taxis. I've discovered this too. There's literally no savings for going to Uber. That used to be the case. The one thing I will say here about Uber is that its delivery business is going to be unfazed by any of that. Still like it long term. Lyft, of course, really missing the boat there. But I wonder how this kind of factors into things, right? And I wonder if they do go autonomous, what's that going to mean for the price? Just some thoughts out loud there on Uber.
Now, Joseph, I do like Lockheed Martin. I think they're one of the better defense names. Do own this? I sold last year when it was I think it just over 500. It went on to run over, or maybe it was 600. I'm not sure which one where I sold it at. It was 500 or 600 somewhere in there, and then it went on to run up to 618, 619, and then we just had this epic crash with the. After Trump was elected, because there was this thought that he'd be gutting a lot of defense contracts with Doge, and that brought us down to 421, maybe 420 the price, and it has found its footing ever since. But it's still trading beneath the trend from 2023. Yeah, and Musk resigns from Doge. Yes, we got that.
I don't think he actually resigned from Doge, though. I don't think that's technically correct. He was a special employee that had a limited amount of time, and his time is up, so he's going back to work. I still think he's going to be tapped and help out on the Doge front. But you're set. The second part of what you were saying here, I'll go back to you, 13. I wonder what happens to Tesla. I gotta think that if he's back majority of his time focused on Tesla, that's going to be viewed as a bullish catalyst. That would be my guess where I sit right now. Take care of yourself, Judge. Great to see you this morning. Anyway, 13, I'm sorry for cutting you off there. It was not my intention.
That's okay. I don't remember what I was saying.
Now I feel that.
The elevator seems empty on ORIC.
That's one of those low volume names, isn't it?
ORIC.
CoreWeave deleted its gain here today.
Oh yeah, this is the one that had the buy from Oppenheimer, the home run scenario from J.P. Morgan. Looks like it's just kind of been sideways mostly. Yeah. So okay. Now I remember what I was going to say. So there was some frustration with Elon or from Elon about the work he had done, and then he was complaining about the spending bill, as if he's like, well, I did all this work to cut spending, and now they're talking, that this bill is being introduced through legislation to raise the cap $4 trillion and spend some more. So I guess he was feeling like he didn't accomplish anything if that's just what's happening.
It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out, though. There's no question about that.
Yeah, HWM looking like it's had a fantastic past couple of years.
Is anyone trading the market finding its footing right here? Anyone looking for longs, given that the SPY and the Q seem to be kind of holding in here? Tesla looks like that's kind of turned around a little bit. Apple looks like it's bottom. Bitcoin, by the way, 13. We had talked about that earlier. That actually broke that midnight or 1245 low, the overnight low that it put in. Actually snapped that, but it did not accelerate to the downside.
So the TQQQ, by the way, that hit a low of 70.11 cents, and at the time the VWAP was 71.41. That's pretty close to what we're looking for from our spread. So
yeah, actually, and you know what? Oh wait, 71.69. Yeah, no, you're right. I didn't get that. I should have had this. You know what? Let me put this instead of NTLA. Let me put TQQQ in one of my other windows. That'll remind me to trade it if we get to that spot.
Yeah, it looks like the MACD is curling on the TQQQ, so this may be turning around, still beneath VWAP, but it's closing the gap there.
Jay Summers, welcome back. Wow, have flown 124,000 miles to date. Just returned from Dublin, Rome, Istanbul through JFK. If time permits, a visit to the TWA hotel off of Terminal 5 will transport you back to the 1960s. First of all, Jay Summers, that sounds like an amazing series of vacations or travel plans. Glad your travels went safe. Welcome back. And that's interesting. That hotel is a throwback to the 60s? Guess I didn't know that.
Do all the employees have the 60 hairstyle? That'd be interesting.
Like the beehive, like the what are some of the? Maybe that was the 50s. I might be off on that.
I don't know the names of the hairstyles, but they were big and they were bold.
Mads asking me what I think, or asking the group what I think of Uber here. I know we were just talking about the autonomous driving and what that might mean for Uber. I still kind of like this, honestly. And I still also think that we are probably going to test 100. So I would want to wait. Now that we're kind of pulling back here, the initial call to go to 100 was incorrect. But now that we're pulling back here, especially if we find footing above 80, maybe even 81, 82 here, I think if we turn around, 100 is still within sight. I still like Uber. As far as the ride shares go, I like Uber the most.
Like
CoreWeave is sinking hard, finally, right?
Looks really? Like the CEO is going to make another attempt at a VWAP break, but volume isn't there. So unless that expands all of a sudden, I don't think it's going to do it.
CoreWeave here basically just gave back today's gains. I want to see this accelerate to the downside. You were talking about ZEO, right? 13? Mm-hmm. ZEO?
Yep. Yeah, this so CoreWeave, the real body of today's candle is still inside the real body of yesterday's candle. So compression, unless we go lower than yesterday, looks like we're just compressing. The 60s pillbox, that's nice. Oh yeah, CEO still moving up here. 305 is what I have for VWAP. looks like everything's like it's trying to curl and turn around, but it's just the volume is so low. It looks like a star constellation. Those are slow moving. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at a joke from the producer. We had just heard that Jay Summers returned from Dublin here. Producer busting out one of his better jokes here. Do you know why Dublin is so big, 13?
No.
Because it keeps Dublin and Dublin and Dublin.
All right.
Oh, producer, you never fail us. That is for damn sure. SBAT, we didn't get our 50 prints yet, and actually now, given these highs, we actually have a trend line to look at.
Oh gosh, Jane, just imagine what Gen Z will be saying about these days that we're living. People used to be so stylish back then. Every generation thinks this way. Oh, I remember things were so much better back when I was younger. I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just saying that's like a mentality that a lot of us share. Even I do that sometimes. And I look back at some of the things I used to experience as a kid and seeing what today's kids are experiencing. It's like, man, I felt like I had a lot better childhood in some aspects.
Man, the thing for me, 13, the big realization for me is that just because I'm so into sports, I have a very tough time thinking that I could have lived in any period better than growing up as a kid in Chicago during the 90s. Everybody and their brother had a basketball court in their driveway in the suburbs, and Michael Jordan was literally the biggest thing on the planet. And so for me, I know we live in exciting times, and I'm a huge technology guy, and I've thought about what my life would look like if I had Chat GPT when I was younger, but honestly, I wouldn't trade anything for the childhood I had. Watching Bulls games and then going outside and playing with the neighborhood kids, playing basketball, pretending you were a different Bulls player. Those are some of the best memories I've ever had. And I don't know that I would rather have lived in any other time. And I don't think people in the 80s dressed stylish. You didn't like the leg warmers, dude? Really?
There were, apparel is one thing, but they had some real sexy looking cars back then. That might be a bad take, but have
you heard Rogan's take on the cars
from the 80s?
No, just in general. He says that the 60s and 70s, early 70s, car design peaked. And he thought a lot of it had to do with the psychedelic drugs that people were taking that was expanding their creativity. And then when that really kind of got stood on, it really just kind of died out and got dull. A lot of the cars from the 70s were ugly. The 80s had almost nothing.
Yeah, because the 80s, they switched to cocaine, right? They went from acid to cocaine, and the design just went out the window.
It's an interesting thought. He's not wrong. Some of those 60s cars are some of the most beautiful machines I've ever seen.
'80s was the Japanese inspired.
I love these comments here.
'80s MTV, yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. That was actually when it actually came out, right? It was in the early '80s.
Yeah.
I think was it Video Killed the Radio Star was the first one?
Yep. Video Killed the Radio Star, I think, was the first music video played.
Oh, that was an ominous prediction, wasn't it?
Oh man, I watched so much MTV when I was a kid. Carson Daly was really popular amongst high school kids. There was a period where it felt like MTV owned Mandy Moore and stuffed her in a closet, and whenever they needed a host, they brought her out because she was on all these other shows. It was good times back in the 90s, man. Good times.
Brian Cole needs some information on what a Joe Rogan podcast is.
No, I think he's asking, what is this, a Joe? I think he's asking if our show is a Joe Rogan podcast.
I misread that. Sorry.
I'll tell you this. I would rather cover what's discussed on a Joe Rogan podcast than what's on the television or the traditional news.
Well, let's...
that had more to do with cars than with Rogan, to be clear, by the way.
Yeah, usually when we get into this, kind of segment, it's because the market has really slowed down. Things are not shaping up for trades like we're looking at. I mean, some there might be some trades out there. We're not, looking actively for some of these things right now because the volume is pretty low.
I'm actively waiting on TEM. I do think Jay's comment to nibble on that might be pretty good. I'm actively waiting on that. Nothing yet. And otherwise, I want to see what happens here with the market. I know it looked like we found some footing, but we might be rolling over.
Yeah, not a lot of volume today in these smaller names. What's everybody looking at right now? If you're even trading, or did folks just decide let's sit on our hands because it's not looking like that kind of day?
Has anyone seen anything odd or unusual within the options market today? I don't think I've seen anything that's really jumped off the page for me here. And I did expect to see some things regarding AI and NVIDIA, and I just didn't here today. Actually, bring NVIDIA up. Let me know if you guys saw anything interesting in the options market today.
And then Smoke Tuna in the 90s, the roof was on fire, right?
What happened?
I'm just responding to what something that Smoke Tuna said. He made a joke, and I tried to follow it up.
Oh, gotcha.
Mike is trading a bunch of puts. Shan Lo is Lou. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. He's falling asleep. We didn't start that.
We got what? It was
we're getting into
almost fire. Yeah,
we're getting into it now. Love it. All right, Crow. Here comes SBET coming back up. Is this gonna happen? Because it's kind of made a bit of a trend here. Oh yeah, and we have PC.
By the way, NVIDIA, we talked about this one. We talked about 141 being really important. NVIDIA sold off out of the open, back tested the 141 line, and was not able to get over it. Part of me wonders if we roll over a little bit more. Hardcore, remember this one? This was actually a pretty decent trade back in the day. Looks like they had a rough earnings there, though.
Sebastian, I believe you're referring to the notice of redemption for all outstanding incentive warrants for BULLZ. This is regarding their warrants that they announced are going to be redeemed on June 30th at 1 cent per warrant unless they're exercised at $10 before the deadline. So at $10, there's probably folks are going to be exercising it. And being that the price is above that, it's likely going to pull it down.
Joe's saying, I think NVIDIA is going to wobble around 140 for a while, absent of the tariff news. I think you're probably right on that. And I don't know when we would expect any update on the court ruling either. I would imagine that happens pretty quick, but I don't know. Aklo, grats to Frank, gave us the short trade idea last night on Aklo. This one so far is working here. I actually think you've got some more legs on this one, to be quite honest with you.
SBET, there it is, broke the trend. Let's see if it can run.
Sure did break that trend line. You're right about that.
Let's see if it can run. So there you go, Crow. All right. We got a good one. We got a good one. Let's just see how
continuing to hold higher here.
I mean, that was nice. It had that trend, went down to underneath VWAP, came back up. Just needed another 15 minutes, and it pushed over it. Now, let's see if the volume can expand and continue to take it up higher. 43.50 is the high of the day. We come on the upper resistance for Boeing. R. Alpha, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe he was, here we go. Now it's in the 44 handle. I believe he was, he picked it up on that big drop that happened at 10:30. Really, really good setup there. Well done, Crow.
Sorry, I'm just looking through some stuff here.
Let me get to that Boeing question.
Here, I can bring Boeing up. Do we need a bigger chart here for Boeing?
Well, let me see what he was asking one more time. I think he was asking about the top. Where'd that question go? 1 second. I'm trying to find comment on the upper resistance for Boeing. Okay, because we're getting into some not multi-year, but at least 24 or 12-month high, right? 12-month high. So it looks to me like I'd say maybe 217 looks to be about the next resistance area of note, somewhere right in there. That's what I would be looking at. And I don't know if that's the exact number to look for, but right around 217. I'm looking, from 2024 and backwards. That seems to have been a resistance and support area. Going back prior to the pandemic. So that might be one area. Give me a little bit. Let me see if I can find some more.
Here's something that 13. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw this one here. I actually was just drawing a couple of trend lines here on Boeing. Just did one from the February 2019 high through the recent high that we made here, December of 2023. That trend line extended here gives us resistance that's about $1 or $2 away from where we're at now. So I could see there's being some resistance there. I think 243, 244, this might also be one.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying. So basically from I guess it's like late February, early March 2019, that high, that pretty much, what is it, all-time high? That's the all-time high. From there, and then you drew it through the December 2023 high.
Yep.
And now we're coming right up to that trend line now.
Yep. Bingo.
I like it. And that it's still under the 217 area, but not too far away. So there could even be a scenario where we do get this break through that trend line and it prints up at like 217 or in that area and then comes back down. Because this is still extended. I mean, they could actually just reverse off this trend line here too, because the daily RSI for Boeing is at 72.5. So I think I wouldn't expect or anticipate too much more upside, and that could be said for a lot of these names in the market that have not snapped their uptrend yet from April 4th or 7th.
Ed asking, can Andis hold one? Yes, I think it can. One of the things we've been talking a lot, I really do expect this to move above one. We did get that here. A couple of other things to take a look at here in Andis. First of all, more trend lines for you here. Yesterday, we snapped through this trend line here. I actually today have this trend line, but let's see, I've got it on another chart here. I've got this bottoming at 92. This is actually more of an important area to hold. The other thing, Ed, that you'll notice here, Andis pretty much popped right up to that 200. It was 109, 110, and it basically stalled there. I know we got higher in the after hours, but we've come back in a little bit. To me here, might take a day or two to get through this, but the next step here, taking out 110, I've got 123 next, and then if we extend this trend line out, got that at about, 143, 140-ish? This is what I'm looking at here in Andis.
Masper is asking what the best exit strategy is on day trading. He mostly exits too early, and he in quotes, doesn't. He faces red results. When you're day trading, know what you're looking to get out of it so you can set your stops and your limit orders so you can have your exit ready to go. And if you're not sure about how high something's going to go, another instrument you could use would be trailing stops. So you set a threshold on like a penny stock that's moving, several cents at a minute. And you don't want to get slammed on that. Maybe just set like a 5-cent trailing stop, so that if it suddenly knifes on you, you're not gonna go too red, if red at all, if it's still above your A profitable exit? Oh, not Izzy. Sorry.
Yeah, Mesrer, I want some more information. And the
Yeah.
reason I'm saying that here is because I'm actually a bit concerned regarding your comment. You had said here, what is the best exit strategy? I mostly exited too early. Well, I'm going to go back to what 13 was just talking about or hinting about regarding the plan there. How do you define too early? Because if I look on this SBET chart here and I think to myself, okay, well, we had a 3250 pre-market high, 3250-ish. We broke that on volume. That's an entry trigger. We've got a couple of other points here that we would have marked as highs. If I had entered on a snap here of 3250 and I had sold partial at 3530 or maybe even 40 up here, I would have felt that that's pretty good. But if I would have come back to this later on and been like, God, I sold too early because the stock went to 45, then I think what you're doing here is you're basically just using hindsight and you're forgetting about your plan. So to me, I'd like some more context. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt because I'm a little bit concerned with how you're looking at this. There's never going to be a time or a system that's going to allow you to pick the bottom and pick the top and have you buy and sell there. That shouldn't even be your goal. Your goal should be to make sure that you don't lose money. And if you're able to catch one of these pieces of moves, that you're able to catch a part of it. If you bought the break here at 32.50 and you sold at these levels that we had identified as being key levels here before, 5 points ahead of 7 points ahead of where this goes. You did not miss this. You did not sell too early here. You tried to capture some upward movement in a very short time frame. The stock ended up going farther. You can't control that. So I'd like some more information.
A lot of times you've heard me say, this is the plan. Like this is, I think there was a recent one. Maybe it was even SBET when we were trading it last. Like we identified a trend line, and I said, we're done. I'm done with this when we hit this trend line. I think it went like another $10 after that, and then it came back in, and it didn't. It went well below where we were all trading, and it was done for the day. So yeah, I missed out on $10 worth of additional upside, but that wasn't part of my plan. And if I could have completely thrown out my rules and potentially hurt myself, but I got what I wanted, and that was it. And I'm done. And whatever happens after that is just popcorn in my face.
Yeah. Popcorn in my face. Didn't see that one coming, but we'll go with that. Quantum here. And the sole job of a day trader is to identify the trend and go with the flow. Don't forget, day trading is hard.
It is.
Indeed. It's one of the reasons why I backed off of it a little bit and focused a little bit more on multi-day swing trading here. Let me know if that was helpful at all.
It takes practice too. And the
Sure
more
does.
time that you are in the market, the more you'll start to see certain things that make day trading easier. And I've been doing this almost every day for the past 5 years. And like I said a lot, I've stared at charts more than I care to admit. But eventually, you start to see patterns like one of those I forget what they're called, but how they have like the obscure pictures, and you can see the 3D image if you stare at it long enough.
The magic eye, dude.
Yeah, the magic eye. You'll get a magic eye one day. Just keep staring at charts.
Dude, you know what? It's funny. Literally, I will be looking at, this is going to happen to me in the next couple of weeks when I drive to Michigan. I will look at charts every single day, and then I'll go out for a cruise, and I will see chart patterns in the clouds. Or if I'm driving up in Wisconsin and I see like a horizon line that varies with the trees and the hills, I see chart pattern. I'm like, there's a broadening wedge. And I'm like, Ryan, snap out of it. What the hell are you doing? It just happens here. It just happens.
And listen, right, Crow?
Crow did mention that the 1 hour chart on SBET told the story here. The story that it told is Crow's price target of 50. If we're being honest here, the story that this thing told was that it was going to 50. Crow, you have been on that from the beginning here.
And TQQQ, I wish I was paying attention to this earlier because that was great. If anybody picked any of the TQQQ up when we got that extension away from VWAP that we always look for, this thing rewarded you nicely, and it's still rewarding you. It's over VWAP now. Sideshow says I lost money for 3 years before I started to see things. 2 years ago, I made $5,000. Last year, I made 25,000. This year, I'm hoping to get to 6 figures. It takes a lot of time. That is awesome, and a wonderful story on the slow grind, but getting to your goals. Joseph is going long on crowd strike at 455. Wiz mentioning HKD. Is this crazy thing back? Is this thing back?
It was on the scanner earlier. I don't know if it's back, but it's on. It was on the scanner earlier.
Okay, so it's not going to 2,500, or yeah. It's not
I no.
This thing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's just another show to just to watch and enjoy. I don't know if I'd want to trade HKD, knowing what it has done in the past.
If you drive to Arizona, you will see the cactus showing you some emojis. That's the middle finger emoji, I'm imagining. No question. No question about that. All right. Interesting stuff here. Market did kind of sell back, basically sold back the pop from the judge fiasco, or the court ruling fiasco, I should say. Look at this. We basically just sold back the move that we made from getting that news last night. So maybe that's it, and maybe we just kind of trade on what NVIDIA does here today. How's NVIDIA holding up? Still holding green here by about 5%. Boy, I tell you what, Anne-Marie, stop me if you've heard this before. Anne-Marie was right. Option sellers look to have won that print.
I'm still a little skeptical that we're going to, continue to grind higher on the heels of this news. I could see it where we continue to move up, but once again, this 591 and 93 cent previous all-time high is back in play, and that was support earlier this morning, and now it's going to be resistance. So if we do end up trading up to that, I'm sure bulls are going to want to break through it, but I think bears could end up winning the day and getting a rejection in that area. So we'll see what we end up getting with this. I got a split because I know it's about time for me to go. So folks, wasn't as great of a day as we've had in past days, but you know what? It's just another day. They'll be back here again tomorrow. We'll find more stocks that'll hopefully have better volume. We'll trade those. We'll make money. It'll be a good day, I promise. I'll see you Friday. Take care, everybody.
Really good stuff, 13. Indeed, we will see you tomorrow. We're going to close the week out strong here tomorrow. That much I can promise you. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I hope that you folks don't have to go to a courthouse like I do here today. Don't worry, I'm not in trouble. I just need to get some official documents. Have a good rest of your day. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you tomorrow.